up the audio.
So,
Otherwise, it's really hard to do.
So, and I got to ask you. So on the last one, there's that, and it's early on, about 10 seconds where there just is no audio. Is that when Carp called your cell phone?
No, that's at the end when it goes black and we have no video.
Right.
So the audio program has never glitched. It's the same audio program we always use. Of course, when we're doing the first filming, it glitches and
But it's only
in 10 seconds disappeared of the audio.
Yeah.
So, but here was the bad part. So then what I had to do, I had the whole video uploaded before I noticed it. I'd made social media posts. Luckily, it wasn't until like 1 o'clock in the morning, though. So then I had to hurry up and delete it all when I heard it. And then I had to delete it off of there. And then what I had to do was I had to go into the audio program, because the video was fine.
Yeah.
Not the video program. And I had to split the audio where it happens and then spread it apart. And because we didn't do a clap and things like that, then I just kind of had to keep guessing how far ahead I had to move the audio.
Wow.
And so then I would try it one way, export it, put it on the video, watch it. Oh, nope, that wasn't far enough. So I have to delete that out, and then I would have to go back into the auto program, move it again.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
it was not a fun process, but well worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so I had the Man Fresca family. Pam was working, and Mike was like, "Oh, stop over." So Charlie and Mary end up coming over.
Okay.
And their daughter was home, and I hadn't seen her in a while. And they're like, "Stop over, Emily. Would like to see you." So it's the five of us, and we start talking about the podcast. And then I told Mike, I'm like, "Well, it's on YouTube," and he has TV out on his patio.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh," Wendy's like, "Pull it up, pull it up." So the entire family's watching it.
Yeah.
And during just that brief moment, they were like, "Well, what happened there? Why can't we hear you?" 10 seconds.
Yeah. Just give it 10 seconds. Yeah. It was such a letdown because
I'm not hearing anything.
You're not hearing anything? Okay, give me 1 second. It was such a letdown too because it was the first one and it's the first time that program has ever glitched.
Yeah.
1 second.
But luckily, it was at
We weren't really talking
Nah.
about anything yet.
no.
Yeah.
I like that you had the.
Oh, there you go. I can hear it now.
Yeah, the actual clapper. You can hear now?
Yeah, I'm good.
Oh, man. Well, I guess I should go ahead and say we're back for another episode of Gathering of Fools. And one of the bastards has joined us, Steve.
Yes. Very,
say the
very,
other.
very excited. PJ requested me, which I thought was really cool. And I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah. And so then obviously my brother is here as well, PJ, for his second episode.
Back again.
And he has brought beer with him, beer that he made himself. So what, you want to give us a little breakdown of it?
So,
Make sure you get close to that mic, Beach.
yeah, so it's from a company, Brooklyn Brew Shop, I believe is the name of it. Like I was telling you guys before, my mom bought me this kit as a Christmas gift like 2 years ago, and I just finally got around to doing it. So it's Everyday IPA, I believe is what it's called.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's supposed to be like comparable to
the All Day by Founders.
or
Yeah.
what. I'm not really sure. I'm sure online we can find like the hop profile and stuff too.
Yeah, of the All Day or of the one that you made?
The one that I made. So it's like I said, it's Brooklyn Brew Shop.
Oh, I don't know how to spell, do I?
There you go. Second one down.
Beer making kit. All right.
Oh, there you go. Everyday IPA right there.
Where am I?
Down
Oh,
a
right
little
here.
bit. Go down.
Down. There you go.
Oh,
yeah.
Down.
It's really hard for me to like see over this thing and
Make it work.
I should really just look at the TV.
Yeah,
It's actually way easier.
Much bigger. But yeah, so there was as we were talking about before, there was some trials and tribulations for the first one. But yeah, so it's got the Cascade hops, Columbus hops. So it's just two kinds of hops in this one.
Yeah.
And it is an all grain brewing kit. So there's kind of two main ways that you can kind of go about brewing the beer. There's the extract brewing, which is basically like you get a big thing of like syrup that is your extract. You
Okay.
add that in with water, boil it, add some other ingredients in. Or you can do the all grain way, which is much more complicated.
Yeah.
So, you have your actual grain that you almost have to make like an oatmeal with.
Yeah.
And then you're adding all your other stuff. So I randomly decided to do it one day, and I was by myself and just kind of pieced together some items. Because the kit comes with pretty much everything you need, but there's a couple little things that you need to add. And so I'm doing it, and my wife ends up helping me. And you have to, like I said, like make this like oatmeal, basically. You have to keep it at this certain temperature for so long, and then you have to strain it, and you get like all the sugar out of it that you need to actually ferment it for your alcohol.
And how long does that take? Just
so after I did my boil and everything, this one had to sit for, it said 2 weeks to ferment, and then you another 2 weeks to carbonate. And this one, so there's a couple different ways you can carbonate too. This one I used honey.
Okay.
That's what they told you to do in the thing. There's like little capsules you can do. There's just regular sugar you can use, either way. But yeah, like I said, this one was honey. So it's about a month total. I ended up going a little long on fermentation on mine and a little bit longer on the carbonation. So this one's probably been 6 weeks in the making or so.
okay.
So, like I said, there was a couple mishaps in the process. So we'll see how it turned out. One, my strainer was quite flimsy, so it was kind of a
One
pain.
would say flaccid.
Yeah, it was kind of a pain in the ass to try to strain this, and I ended up losing a decent amount of volume. So you're supposed to end up with a gallon for this one. So I had probably about 2/3 of a gallon, and they say that can happen. Some of it can boil off, some of it you can lose, just because it doesn't all come out through the strainer. It kind of gets soaked in those grains and doesn't squeeze through.
Yeah.
So they say just to add water. So it could have just
Giggling to myself about flaccid strainer. I'm sorry.
So it could just be that the alcohol content could have went down a little bit. But then, like I said, because the kit was a little bit old, when it's in that first fermentation process, you're supposed to have lots of bubbling and foam in there in the carboy. And I wasn't getting any of that the first day or two, and so I was like real worried that maybe the yeast had went bad because it was a year or two old. And it's dry yeast package, so it says it should be a year or two shelf life. But I was like right on that brink where it very easily could have been bad.
Yeah.
So I hurried up and ordered more online, and it came in one day when I was at work. I had my wife repitch the yeast while I was at work, hoping that she's getting it all in there and doing. You don't really have to do a whole lot, but you just gotta get it in there and shake it all up.
Yeah.
But so hopefully that saved it, so that because getting your yeast in there is what's gonna bind with the sugars and make it alcoholic. But yeah, so
Well, who knows? Maybe you made a really good non-alcoholic beer.
yeah, right.
That'd be the
Maybe-
first.
Maybe we have some very timely O'Douls here.
And it looked like when you first pulled that up, it said it's 6.8%.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew it was right around 6.8% is what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And so I also didn't have a refractometer to be able to judge for
Judge it.
myself where it was going to be. So like I said, there was a big learning curve in this first one. So I've gotten a couple more items to use, different things to try for the second batch. Hopefully it goes a little bit easier.
A little smoother.
Yeah. So and then when I was doing adding the honey and stuff after the first 2 weeks to get the carbonation going, they say to if you have an exact 1 gallon amount, you use this amount of honey to get the right amount of carbonation.
Okay.
If you put less honey, it'll be less carbonated. More honey, it'll be more carbonated, obviously. So then there's also, we don't know how carbonated this is going to be too. So there's many ways that this could be screwed up.
Steve, I'm sorry I brought you for this.
No, I was telling PJ before we came on air that I had my go around at making beer roughly, let's call it 35 years, maybe between 30 and 35 years ago. No, that's too many years. 25 years.
Okay.
Because if it was 35, I would have been like 14.
I was wondering. I'm like, wait, how old is Steve?
It's like, oh my God, he's 14 and he's making beer.
Yeah.
He really is serious.
Or in my head, I was like, God, what is he, like 70?
And we had so much trouble with it, but we were using dried yeast because live yeast was hard to get, which was tough to deal with. Plus, carboys. There's only one way you can make beer for the most part. You're boiling. You're transferring over into carboys, then you're transferring over again, and there's cheesecloth involved at some point or a strainer. We were using cheesecloth.
So yours was really flaccid.
Yes, very flaccid. But through trial and error, by the third or fourth batch, it was actually pretty damn good. It was drinkable.
Yeah.
So were you guys doing grain brewing back then?
Yes.
Okay. I kind of figured that was that instead of extract.
Yeah.
What was Chris doing when he was
Chris
doing his?
did extract.
He did extract.
Yeah.
He was making some decent beers.
Right.
Especially that stout.
Yeah, and he followed kits for the most part. I think there was only like one that he did that he actually kind of just wung something and made his own recipe, but it ended up being that honey mead that was actually really good. I think it ended up being like 11.5%. It was
It was
a
good
wine.
though. It was good. But I think at first you should definitely follow the kit and then start trying to improvise your own process after you've done that a few times.
Right, at the very least, just to kind of get the process down, just because there are,
nuances.
It's not necessarily a hard thing to do. I mean, you're just following a recipe, but there's just little things that you can do to make it easier on yourself and to make it better. It's like you said, there's really only one way to make a beer, but there's just these little intricacies throughout there that you can tweak.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, so basically, we're going to taste this for the first time on this episode. So I guess we just kind of dive in here, huh?
I'm really excited about it.
I'm excited and nervous.
Like I said, I believe so. This is unfiltered, so it's going to be probably like a hazy IPA for sure.
Okay.
And then I think, like I said, I believe that there is a little bit of sediment in the bottom, so be careful pouring.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely carbonated.
Yeah.
Oh, it's very carbonated. I need help.
We're going to need some more paper towels.
Here, how about this towel?
Christ. So maybe we should open another one over the sink.
Yeah. Let's open the rest over the sink, maybe one at a time while the other two are here. I'll let you guys clean while I open mine.
Holy hell. So that was
Let's pick that up.
yeah. Jesus. So a bit too much honey.
Holy cow.
I wonder how much is going to be left in there.
There's not much left in there, I'm going to be honest here.
Everything exploded.
Something told me I should have bought more paper towels today. Oh!
Like, it's like an eruption.
Oh my God.
Jesus.
Sorry.
I tried to be really gentle.
There was no being gentle about it.
Let's get Steve some paper towels in here.
Oh, man.
It's good enough. I'll get the rest later. Wipe down this bottle some.
Smells good.
Yeah, I think I have
I've got
maybe a
Drop.
yeah, less than a third left in here.
It's going to be short tasting.
So I brought 4. So there's one more in here that maybe we can.
Let's go ahead and open it too.
Yeah. Christ.
Yeah, it's about all you need.
It's enough to taste it.
Yeah.
All right, this other one is sitting over here.
Now, did you stop it, or have we still been on? The
Oh
whole
no, it's
time?
on.
Hi.
It's much more of a pain to stop it now with the separate video and audio. So what you guys couldn't see off air is we opened up the other ones over the sink, and Steve's literally exploded all over the wall, all over him.
I'm a bit sticky.
Oh my god.
Why is he so sticky?
Yeah, I am sticky. I didn't even realize how sticky I was.
I'll go home and Pam like, you're really sticky. What the hell are you doing over there?
So I think it's safe to say, note 1, less sugar.
It was violent is the word that comes to.
There was an eruption.
Yeah.
It is definitely very hazy. You are not seeing through that.
It's a hazy IPA.
I gotta say, I'm glad that first explosion was caught on camera.
Yeah. I went to throw something in the garbage can, and the next thing you know, it was like Mount St. Helens.
All right, let me see what I got here. I think I had the least amount left.
I actually ended up adding a little bit of that fourth
other
one
one.
into here.
Wow, so that was really an ordeal.
Yeah.
It got out of hand right off the bat.
Yeah. That escalated quickly.
Yeah, things really went off the rails right away. Very mild hop, if really any.
Yeah,
It's very sweet.
it is. It's really sweet. And I don't know if maybe because there was extra sugar in there, obviously, is part of what did that, or
I taste. I feel like I can very much distinguish sugar. I mean, it's drinkable.
right. It's
definitely
not
drinkable.
great. I will tell you that.
I wouldn't buy it if it was on the shelf.
No. I'd be a little bit upset if I bought a 6-pack of it and came home and cracked open the first one. Like, well, damn it.
Oh my god.
It's definitely drinkable.
Yes.
I agree with you there. I don't hate it.
Yeah. I don't hate it.
I'm not going to Yellowstone it.
I agree. It's not worth Yellowstoning, which for those that watch Gathering of Fools and maybe haven't seen Bastards of Bourbon, that's how we really tear down a bourbon when we really hate it. We refer to it as Yellowstoning.
So you mentioned about honey. So you added honey at some point during this process?
After the 2 weeks of fermentation in the carboy, it said get 3 tablespoons of honey, add it to, I think it was a half a cup of water, heat that just enough so that the honey and water will actually, mix together. And then you mix that into the fermented beer, and then you bottle it and sit for another 2 weeks.
I felt like for a minute we were at like a high school science fair or something, and you created a volcano.
Oh yeah, it was very volcanic like.
And I only ask about the honey because I can definitely taste it. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's there, it's prevalent.
And that's what you're thinking caused it to explode, PJ?
It's got to be. So, like I said, it had to be that there was too much sugar.
Yeah.
Because obviously, the more sugar, the more carbonated it'll be. The less sugar, the less carbonated it'll be. And I had, right about a gallon of liquid, and so that's what it was. 3 tablespoons per gallon. So I must have just went a little heavy-handed on the.
You must have
on the tablespoons
because that was intense. It is definitely drinkable.
Yeah,
I
for
definitely
sure.
don't hate it. I wouldn't buy it, but I wouldn't be mad if somebody handed me one. I'd be like, "Oh, this is all right."
Yeah, no, for
It's not. I wouldn't really classify it as an IPA.
and you know what? Even reading some of the things, I have some of the reviews from this kit and things like that. A lot of people were saying it came out more of a mild.
Really?
like a mild pale ale
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that makes sense because those all-day IPAs, and they all have them now. I think Fatheads calls theirs like
Sunshine Daydream.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're all very mild IPAs. I mean, I'm
Right.
definitely getting a little bit of hop in there for
Yeah,
sure.
there's a
Yeah.
little bit of it. Yeah, for sure. But it's hard for me to tell because of the sweetness too, I think.
Yeah. Oh, that sweetness definitely comes through.
It's
And like I
prevalent.
said, with it being overcarbonated like that, I can't imagine that being anything else besides the too much honey. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, we're definitely going to have to do another beer experiment.
Yeah. So for the new one, like I said, I got some different equipment and things. So they do this stuff now where you can do what they call brew in a bag, and it's basically like a big like nylon mesh bag that goes in your pot. So you're not having to like constantly pour into separate pots and to strain. I can literally just put all this bag in the pot, do it all in one, and then just pull the bag out and let
get
it
all
drain
the-
out of that,
yeah,
and then
nice.
just toss it.
Oh,
That's
that's
nice.
Yeah. And I actually have a refractometer now too, so I'll be able to actually know what the alcohol percentage is with the second one.
I would measure the honey this time around.
I did. Well, I measured it the first time. Apparently not well, but I did.
I think you got to delve into trying some brown ales.
Yes.
He actually loves brown ales too.
Yeah, we were talking about that. And
Right.
the very first beer that we made, we tried to mimic it off of the same exact way of the combination of what made, and it's not as popular of a beer now, showing my age, but Anchor Steam, made out of San Francisco.
Oh, Anchor Steam.
Anchor Steam.
Yeah, I do know that. Yeah.
So if you take a beer you really like, whatever brown ale or stout, and then you just kind of go with the ingredients that they utilize for it, it's a thought. And I mean, you can tweak it any way you want, but you're still making it by hand, and it's your own beer.
Yeah,
Right.
without a doubt. Yeah.
I tell you what, though, as much as it looked like there was sediment in the bottom of the bottle, I don't know if it all erupted out of it. Maybe that cleared the sediment, because I don't have any sediment in my cup.
I might have
So-
some in my eyebrows.
Yeah,
Yeah. There was definitely some on my wall.
yeah.
I think I see a tiny bit in
I'm
mine.
telling you, I mean, it's growing on me with every sip.
No lie.
To be honest,
Completely agree.
for a first try, and
I might actually buy it.
for how many things went wrong during this first attempt, I don't hate it. You know what I
don't.
mean? Like,
I really don't. It does grow on me every sip.
Yeah.
And it literally, everything that could have went wrong, including the start of the
yeah,
tasting.
and yeah, exactly. It was just one shit show after another.
I'd have it no other way. I really can't tell you how happy I am that explosion happened on camera, that we actually have video now.
Oh man! Like I said, I'm just glad it turned out drinkable. Last night I was telling you, I was like, so did you warn Steve that we might die? That,
We're all
that
gonna be,
lots of things could have went wrong with this, and we may be poisoned tomorrow.
we're gonna be all violently ill by 10:30 tonight.
Great when this attacks our bowels.
Yes. I'll be waking up in the morning and just be MFing. God damn that PJ. What'd he do to me?
I thought he liked me. Oh my god.
Have a mad case of the butt pee. That's never good.
No, it's absolutely the worst, actually. I'll tell you what, I've had a hectic weekend in general. Me and Tommy did our Friday night football where we play Madden, drink bourbon, and hang out. And then last night I was at PJ's house till 2:30. And then, of course, came home, poured another glass of bourbon, and recorded just me talking for like an hour and a half. For who knows why.
An inner monologue.
Did you replay that today to see what the heck you were saying?
I knew
or-
what I was saying. I was talking about all the crazy shit that's going on, like in the world right now, and it's not as bad as I would have expected it to be.
Oh, good.
I still don't know if I'll actually post it, just because who am I to really be a voice in that realm? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we might. We'll see. I might even give it a quick edit just for a couple people to listen to and be like, yeah, post it, or hey man, just don't fuck with that scenario.
Yeah, they might say, "Hey, you might be better off just walking out on the streets barefoot, drinking a bottle of bourbon."
Yeah, stop recording when you're drunk.
Or they could be like, "Hey, this is gold.
Right.
Put this on right away."
Right. It could be one or the other. Amanda Gill, very much. She hasn't listened to it yet, but I told her about it today because I had to take her camera. They left it here, and because she was on the podcast yesterday.
Nice.
And she was like, "Nope, just put it up." And I'm like, I don't know. Drunken hammer. 2:30 in the morning thoughts. We'll see.
Yeah, that's something you want to listen to before you put it out there.
Yeah, but yeah, so this is definitely kind of also at the same time hair of the dog for me right now.
Yeah, I am not up until 2:30 very often anymore.
Yeah, well, I
Well,
can't say that.
a 2-year-old will do that.
Right, and her internal clock is between 6 and 7 o'clock in the morning every single morning of her entire life.
Yeah, and they got her a new, like, the tiniest kitten I've ever seen. And they're pretty sure that it's either not going to be able to walk or it's going to be dead.
It's going to have atrophy of the legs because all she does is carry it. For the first
That's
couple
so
days,
cute.
For the first couple days, I was convinced we were going to have a kitten-sized grave in our yard because she was just going to love it to death.
Yeah, I called him. I called him a couple of days ago, and like mid conversation, he was like, "No, do not squeeze its legs like that." I'm sorry. Hold on, Dave.
Daddy, I squeezed it. Now it's not moving.
It's very sleepy all of a sudden. Yes, it's a constant battle to keep this kitten alive.
Yeah. And then even last night, even though Violet wasn't there, everybody kept bringing the damn thing outside.
And it's like as gray as that hat over there, like a dark gray. I'm like, it is the color of nighttime right now. It takes 3 steps. No one is going to be able to find it.
Right. And some owl's going to swoop down and pick it
Right.
up.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like this freaking big.
It's the tiniest kitten I've ever seen.
It probably shouldn't be away from its mother yet.
Yeah.
Let's introduce it to the wild real quick.
I mean, if it makes you feel any better, my brother-in-law was in town. He has a 7 and 9-year-old girls, and they wanted to do a bonfire Friday night, which I'm all for. You know, we don't use our fire pit enough.
Yeah.
I stacked that sucker full of wood, and I knew the wood was wet. So, of course, I'm telling the 9-year-old, she's super smart. I'm spraying it down with lighter fluid, and she's like, "What is that?" I said, "That's called an accelerant."
Getting very sophisticated with this.
Yes. And she goes, "Oh, okay, accelerant." And I'm like, "But you've got to stand away when Uncle Steve lights this fire."
Yeah.
I mean, I put a long grill lighter to it, and I mean, it just went boom. I mean, maybe a foot away from lighting both kids on fire. Things could have gone really bad very quickly.
So you're saying it's a good thing that all of your kids are almost grown.
Right. For sure. There's no doubt about it. Had they been at a younger age during the bourbon craze, as I like to call it, or bourbon boom, no chance.
They wouldn't have survived.
No.
Well, PJ used gasoline for the fire at his house last night.
Yeah, I had no lighter fluid, so
Yeah.
we went straight to the real
Yeah,
thing.
It made a loud noise.
Oh, I bet it did. That's a very strong accelerant.
Yes.
And then all it was smoke for a really long time.
It
lot
was
of
like
smoke.
it was basically like a pile of mulch and grass clippings that started this fire.
It was not good. I was like standing away from the house just because so much smoke was blowing at the house.
Yeah. So you, I mean, and that's part of the problem. So you were probably dealing with wet wood or wet whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm assuming.
yeah,
it was
that
wet.
was part of
I didn't
it.
even go over there for the most part because it was so smoky.
Well, so I had our fire pit had, just like these ring of rocks, just, something real simple. And then around it for the seating, they had these big, huge stumps with like wood planks connecting them. So it was, like some makeshift seating around it. And one of the stumps, a freaking woodpecker must have sensed fucking bugs in there because it made it structurally insound by the time it was done with it. There was like 8 ginormous holes all the way to the center around this thing. So I'm like, well, I have to get rid of these because somebody's going to sit on one and the whole thing's just going to collapse.
Yeah.
So I like cut all those up, and whatever, random chips flew off of there, I was just throwing into the pile to burn. And so the pile was quite large of just straight wood chips.
And it was just a smoky mess.
Yeah.
Woodpeckers are the worst, especially around your house. Dude. When we lived in California, we had one that was pecking into the house and causing holes. And my dad would he bought this BB gun to try to get rid of this thing. And that woodpecker did not give a shit about that BB gun whatsoever. He would fire at it. And he'd just look over at him, start pecking again.
Yeah. I mean, I think woodpeckers are very smart. I mean, they just seem to me to be able to figure out where they can do their damage.
Yeah.
Without getting killed.
Yeah. Yeah, because I haven't seen one in forever. I'm shocked you had one over there.
It was freaking huge, too. It was probably this tall. And
you don't want that sucker pecking at you.
Hammering away. No, the damage he did to this tree stump was
wow,
more than a foot diameter.
Yeah.
And he burrowed to the freaking center of it in 8 different places.
That's fucking crazy.
So, talking about smokiness, our fire was also unbelievably smoky, but for a completely different reason. It's kind of funny, and I hope she doesn't watch this, but she may, I don't know, or listen to it, because she's been asking, hey, how do I get to it? Can I get to it on my phone? No, you can't.
No, don't worry about it.
Not on your phone.
It's actually specifically blocked on your phone.
So my mother-in-law, who lives with us, she saves all of her papers, receipts, old bills, whatever.
She's a paper hoarder.
She is. And she said when I was going out, she was like, I got all that paper. Make sure you grab all that paper. Help start the fire. So as I'm putting this paper on the fire, there's a lot of plastic with this paper
mix?
in the envelopes.
I hear it's really healthy to burn that and breathe
yes,
it in.
Yeah. And I'm like, this isn't going to be good. And then, of course, once it lights, there's zero flame, and it's just all smoke, huge plumes of smoke. And we're sucking this all in.
Sending signals down the street.
Right? He's sending smoke signals to Aldo down the street, hey, come over for a beer. Oh, man. Did you have any neighbors call concerned?
No, thankfully not.
Because I thought in your neighborhood there was a possibility for that.
No, I mean, I could find out about it tomorrow. It's a strong possibility.
It's a strong possibility.
Although I saw Aldo this morning, he was out with his dog. A little bit of a funny story. So I'm out in the morning early, between 8 and 9. So I'm out with the new dog, the puppy, Monsignor, who's been well chronicled on Gathering of Fools.
Yes, the little tiny bulldog.
And he's out with their new dog, Lexi, which is some sort of poodle mix. I'm not sure what the mix is, but very small. So we thought, well, it's a good chance. Let's get them together. So we're in Staffolino's front yard, and everything's going great. They're sniffing each other. They're kind of dancing around each other. And then all of a sudden, Lexi just goes after him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just
I will kill you.
And I was like, okay, all right, playtime's over.
Playtime's over. You're ruining his clothes. Because your bulldog is very dapper.
He is dapper. There is no doubt. We like to call it, when he wears his vest collar, whatever it is, we call that his business casual.
Ooh. Oh, nice.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's too bad that the AC was off for the first episode of Bastard Bourbon, because I believe you were good to wear your professional drinking outfit.
And at some point that is going to happen. But what I'm dying to get, not to get too far off on a tangent, is since we call him Monsignor, and his full name's Monsignor Orsini, and the history behind that is I had a priest at Catholic Central. His name was, at the time, it was Father Orsini. At some point later down the road, he became a Monsignor. And he had what I would call slightly bulging eyes. Looked a little bit like a bulldog. And, but this guy, he was tremendous.
Okay,
just,
so there is some reverence to him too. Yeah.
And that's what I meant it to be. And of course, when I was allowed to name the dog, since it wasn't my choice,
to get the dog.
You're like, all right, you can name him. Since you had no idea we were getting the dog, you can name the dog. And I already had that name picked out way before. For a pug, I wanted to get a pug, which pug, same thing, bulging eyes.
Yeah.
So it was a no-brainer for me. But then some people heard about the name. They were like, ooh, I don't know. I mean, that seems like that's sacrilege. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm paying homage to this guy.
Right.
This guy was a phenomenal priest. Everybody loved him. A great person.
Yeah.
We're carrying on his
legacy.
legacy.
Yeah. It wasn't meant to diss the man.
No, it wasn't meant to say, oh, he was ugly like a bulldog.
PJ, you need another drink?
Yeah, I think I'm going to grab something. I don't know if I might grab the rest of that other one over there.
Yeah, go ahead.
I got to say, PJ, I am not disappointed in this at all.
Yeah,
I
said, the first sip, I was more skeptical.
Yeah, I was very skeptical after the first sip.
I mean, if I didn't like it, I wouldn't have. I mean, I had half a pint here.
Yeah, you finished it already.
It got better with every sip. It really did.
It really did. I wish I wasn't quite so sticky while I was drinking that.
I had to go rinse my hands off.
They're just so sticky. I don't understand it.
I can see how sticky they are right now.
This podcast will forever be known as the Sticky Podcast.
That might even end up being the name of it. the sticky show with Steve and PJ. Now, PJ, what kind of dog did you always want?
A bulldog.
And what did you want to name it?
Phil.
Phil.
Oh, I love it. I love that name.
Yes.
What's the history behind wanting to name it Phil, if there is any?
None. Absolutely none. Zero story there. I just think it would be hilarious.
I mean, how funny is that?
I like when dogs have like random people names, like the quintessential white guy names.
Yeah.
Bob,
Like, right?
Doug.
Kyle.
So there's a funny commercial. It was out a few years ago, and the guy on the commercial, bulldog's in it. I don't know what it's for, but he said, "This is our bulldog, Steve." And it's our 10th bulldog, and they've all been named Steve. I mean, who names a bulldog Steve?
Let alone 10 times.
Yeah. But that's just like Phil. Phil's a beautiful bulldog name. I love it.
Yeah.
So we need to make that happen. We got to hook you up with our breeders out of New Philly.
Oh, I want one so
I'm
bad.
telling. I mean, I don't know the price because Pam won't tell me. She'll be showing
sure
up here later.
outrageous. Every time
But-
I've looked into them, they're so outrageous.
Well, let's put it this way: she was able to get the bulldog from her tips at Valley Wine Cellar.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
I mean, no idea. She paid straight cash for it, and I'm sure they give you a deal for that.
yeah. I
Yeah,
wonder if
I'm sure.
I wonder if it was still all ones. They're probably like, what's going on here?
Oh, honey, you're a dancer, are you?
Every dancer deserves a bulldog.
Where do you work?
Can we come see your show?
Hopefully she cashed that in. That's hilarious.
Do you have a dog now?
No, we have two cats.
Two cats.
The older cat is big and fat and black, and so there's actually a funny story about that. So when we got the new kitten, we're trying to ask Violet is my daughter. We're trying to ask her what she wants to name the new kitten, and she's 2.5, so she's it's a process in itself asking her anything. Sure, imagination, any conversation, you don't know what's real and what she's just imagining. And so I ask her what she wants to name it, and she says Black. Well, I think that's going to be a little confusing because our other cat is black and this one is not. So let's pick something else.
Yeah, they were telling me last night that Violet has a very strong imagination. She'll like eat a thing of fruit snacks and then just throw the wrapper on the floor. And they're like, "Hey, you got to throw that away." And she goes, "I imagined."
She'll say, I'm pretending to throw it away. Like, why don't we actually throw it away?
Yeah.
I'm all for your imagination, but
not in this aspect.
We're encouraging it, but so the black cat. What's the black cat's name?
Prim.
Prim.
Prim, yes.
And that's got to be from
Hunger Games.
Hunger
yeah.
Games, yes.
Primrose.
Great
yes.
series.
Yeah, I love it.
Phenomenal series.
I actually read the books too.
I did not read those ones. I'm sure they're really good, though.
Had to be.
Flew through them. They're only like 325 pages, 350
Really?
pages, and I flew through them.
And
really
those are the
quickly.
kind of books that I read, too. It's got to be like sci-fi fantasy usually for me to get into it.
Yeah. I have a bunch of books that I always mean to read, and I read like a couple of chapters, and I'm like, well, I'm going to start reading this other book, and then I'm going to start reading this other book, and I never finish any of them.
Wow.
But I have books everywhere.
And sadly, when I think of that series, an actor who I absolutely loved, who I thought was unbelievable, his very last movie was The Last Hunger Games, Philip Seymour Hoffman. He was
I forgot about that.
spectacular, right?
Yeah. He's great in everything.
Yeah.
He
He
was
died
great in
during
everything.
filming of it, too,
I
didn't
think
he?
so.
I think
Yeah.
so.
It's so sad. Such a talented guy. I believe it was heroin overdose. And just so talented, man. And, who knows how many great movies we would have got from him. 'Cause I've never seen him in a movie where I was like, wow, he did a terrible job.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I remember when he came out, it was I think in the second one. It might have been in because they broke up the third one into part 1, part 2.
Yeah.
Might have been the third part 1, but I think it was the second one. I was like, oh my God, he's in this now too?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Right.
was like, yes.
Because they also already had Woody.
Yeah, well, they had all kinds of big-name actors. What's the...
Well, Donald Sutherland. I
Yeah.
mean,
Donald
you're
Sutherland.
talking like the matriarch of
Of the acting world.
and then the dude who was the, not really reporter, but like the talk show host. What's his name?
God, I love that guy.
I know.
He does such a good job at that part too.
Right.
Oh,
he had the crazy
Real
eyes.
Italian
and
looking.
Oh, what is his name? I'm gonna look that up.
Yeah,
I
you
can't
gotta-
think
you gotta
of his
look that
name.
up.
But he's
Yeah.
a real well-known guy, too.
Hello, Pamela.
Yes, she's here. You missed a lot of interesting
Man,
things.
You missed
You
some
missed 3 explosions.
No, the beer may have been a little over carbonated.
A little heavy-handed with the sugar,
You-
with the
you-
priming sugar.
You will be able to see it. It was caught on video. And then Steve opened his over by the sink, and it exploded all over the wall, all over Steve.
Yeah.
Be careful what you touch now. Everything is now sticky.
Yes. So
And at least now I know why.
right. I mean, I was worried about that earlier. I was like, I'm gonna go home, and she's gonna be like, "Why are you all sticky?"
Yeah, touching something when it's being sticky and not knowing why it's sticky has got to be one of the grosser things. Same with being wet.
Right.
You touch something and all of a sudden it's wet and you don't know why it's wet. That's one of the grossest feelings.
Right.
Stanley Tucci.
Yes,
Oh,
that's
yes.
what it is. Stanley Tucci.
Yeah, and I actually love
He
Stanley
was
Tucci.
Spectacular in that part, and has been in some great movies over the years.
Oh, yeah.
Man, they really did have a bunch of people in there.
Yeah,
Wes
I mean,
Bentley.
Liam Hemsworth, Elizabeth Banks.
Yeah.
she was great as Effie.
Yeah, there was a lot of actors in this. I forgot. I might have to watch these again. I believe I have them all.
Yeah, I haven't seen him in quite a while.
So much to my wife's, gosh, I don't even know what word I'm looking for. Not dismay, but the opposite of dismay. Much to her
Delight.
delight. Thank you, PJ.
Did you have some drinks when you were golfing?
Maybe a few, just a few, couple beers. So she's always like every night. It's kind of an ongoing joke when we're looking for something to watch on TV. She's like, Step Brothers. I want to watch Step Brothers.
Every time.
Every time. Just
Always.
about every time. If it's not that, it's Hangover, it's Napoleon Dynamite. So it just so happens Step Brothers was on last night.
So you did watch it.
We watched it for sure.
Actually, we were talking about Hangover quite prevalently on one episode, and I don't think I brought it up, but I ended up watching it again fairly recently, and I really forgot how fucking funny that movie is. I mean, I remembered it being funny, but I was just, in the first 20 minutes, I was laughing out loud.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys know that that little web series show Hot Ones on YouTube, where they the guy interviews people while they're eating like some of the hottest wings in the world.
I do not, but
you've
I
never
am
seen
very
it.
intrigued.
It's actually really cool. So like
It's
the premise
awesome.
is simple enough. You know, they have 10 wings and they get hotter as they go.
And it's all very famous
Yeah,
people.
he interviews really famous celebrities, but the guy is a super good interviewer. Like he asks, insightful, crazy, in-depth questions, but then like as they get hotter and hotter, it's almost like he's able to catch people off guard because they're so
Some of them are like
so much
crying.
in pain.
Really?
Oh yeah, like they have like the Scoville level is like the level of hotness for wings. And I think the last one is usually up in like the 200,000 Scovilles. There's a good couple of people that have not been able to finish. Like Aubrey
it's
Plaza
really
was on there the one
entertaining.
time, and she was like snorting milk to try
All right, wait. I need the name of that again.
hot ones.
Hot ones. It's really good. Kevin Hart's on there.
Yeah, so they had
They just had Shia LaBeouf fairly recently.
yeah, Shia LaBeouf's is really good.
And he handled it like a man.
That dude apparently just
He's like
course.
we're double dabbing all these because they just put like a dab of each sauce on there, and he was like,
no.
putting extra
So
on
they
there.
pre-sauce them, but then on the last wing,
Oh, okay,
on
yeah.
the hottest one, they call it the last dab. They put one extra little dose of hot sauce on the last one. And he always like pressures people into it. He's like, so this is what we call the last dab. He's like, you don't have to do it if you don't want to. And they're all like, oh really? Really? I don't have to?
Yeah. Come on.
Now that you've said that.
I've made it this far.
and Shia LaBeouf went hard on his last one.
Dude. But yeah, so the reason I brought it up, they had the what's the Asian guy from The Hangover? I can't remember his name.
He's a doctor.
Kim.
Dr. Kim?
No. I follow him on Twitter.
Either way, immaterial. He was on there, and the guy was asking him what's some of the things that people like fans shout at you the most, like quotes from your movies and stuff. And he was like, well, shortly after one of the Hangovers came out, I was in like a food court at a mall with my wife and my
Ken
young
Jeong,
daughter.
by the way.
That's what it is, Ken Jeong.
Mr. Chow.
I was
Mr.
at a food
Chow.
court with my wife and my young daughter, who I think he said was only like 4 at the time or something like that. And some guy from the upper deck shouted down at him, what does he say? I'm going to fuck on you or something like that. And he was like, trying to play it off because he's there with his family. And his young daughter looks up and he's like, no, my daddy's not going to fuck on you.
No, that's great.
Oh my gosh.
And you know he is like a real like still practicing doctor too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a during one of his stand-up one of his stand-ups, somebody had like an attack or something.
They had a
in
seizure,
the crowd,
is what it is, a
seizure,
petit-mouth
and he
seizure.
jumped off the stage and started doing doctor
Wow.
shit. Yeah, they say they helped save the guy.
Yeah,
Wow.
he talked about that on there too. He actually flew that person and like 1 or 2 of their family members out to his next show, wherever it was, so that they could actually see his show.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
One thing that I just saw of a person that was in that movie that I just reminded me of a series that both Pam and I love, and it's not as well known of a series. It's been off for quite a while. Jeffrey Tambor, who plays the dad of the bride in Hangover, and Zach Galifianakis' dad also. He borrows his Mercedes or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Okay, so he was in a series called Arrested Development.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Jason Bateman.
Yeah, I actually love that guy. I know who you're talking about
God.
now. I haven't watched that show though.
We have it on DVD, and it's something that every now and then we'll put in just because it is that good.
I think they have new episodes on Netflix.
Really?
They did
Yeah.
new season on Netflix, but I heard
They-
ruined it.
They did at least one extra season on Netflix.
And Ellen DeGeneres' wife or husband, depending on which, but I believe it would be wife because
Wow.
I think Ellen's the man in that
Yeah, who
relationship.
knows? they might both.
Portia Rossi.
That's Trey's birthday beer. Yeah, Portia de Rossi or something like that. It's a mild IPA.
I'm anxious to see what you think of this because we haven't had this in quite a while. This was from the very first
Yeah,
bourbon tasting.
yeah. I'm very.
And we just did it like in the middle of the pack. We're doing all these Buffalo Trace products.
Yeah.
I mean, that was, if we go back and look at that, we tasted some crazy bourbon that first one.
Yeah, we tasted like all the best bourbon. Oh, this is really good. It's really smooth. Yeah, it's excellent. If you want a little nip of it, Pete, you got a glass there.
Yeah, what is it?
It's called Boone County.
Boone County.
Yep.
Thank you, sir.
Hard to get.
Yeah, definitely hard to get.
Not expensive though. Only like $40.
I think there is now very few places in Ohio you can get it now.
Yes.
Yeah.
After our podcast, somebody reached out to me and were like, "Oh, I saw it here." It was, I think, in Cincinnati somewhere. I'm like, okay. It's not going to be the first time I was wrong, and it won't be the last time. Hence our last podcast. 86. It's got to be 86.
It's got to be 86 proof. You were really, when I went back and watched it, because I don't think I was here for it.
No, you.
You were.
Well, I mean, imagine this. You were using the bathroom.
Oh, crazy. But you were really like going out on your shield about it being had to be 86 proof. Jeff was like handing you the big Haynes bottle. And you're like, that's a whiskey.
And then Tommy's like, it says right on the bottle it's a Kentucky bourbon. I'm like, I don't care. It's 86 proof.
And it's so funny because you know that. I know you know that.
You know, you get into a mindset, and I'm going to blame Pam on this. So one of those bourbon documentaries we watched, so I can get off on a little tangent. They talk about 86 proof, and where and we talked about this before, where restaurants say 86 this, 86 that. So it was just frowned upon for any bourbon to be 86 proof.
Right.
Was just considered not a good bourbon.
It seems like most people do consider it to be. She's not even paying attention.
No, she's not.
Why is 86 bad? Is it too low?
Yeah.
Okay.
Typically, the more alcohol, the more flavor you can pack in. Well, we were talking about this the last time. The only one that doesn't do a lot of over 100 proof bourbons that packs a ton of flavor, I feel like, that does it really well and does it consistently is Buffalo Trace.
Yes.
I mean Buffalo Trace itself is excellent, has a ton of flavor. It's only at 45%, so 90 proof.
Yeah.
Again, Eagle Rare, 90 proof.
I really liked that Eagle Rare last night. That was really good.
Yeah, we finally opened up his bottle.
It was really smooth.
And then Blanton's is 93.
Right. This is 90, just slightly over 90.
Yeah.
What we're drinking right here. But it just one. I can't remember which one it was. We've chronicled them before. There's Bourbon Tucky, there's Neat, and Straight Up.
Yeah.
Those are the three really good bourbon documentaries.
I have to watch those other two. I haven't watched those ones. I've only watched the Neat, which I loved. Got me even more into bourbon.
Yep.
Yeah, have you ever watched that Neat, Peach?
No, you said that's the one on Hulu, right?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. It's
So
really good.
Two of those are on Hulu, and the other one is on Netflix. But I can't remember the split of which one is which. But all very good.
Yeah. The Neat is just amazing to me. It taught me a lot about bourbon, a lot of stuff I use now. Man, we can't help ourselves. We'll jump right into bourbon talk anytime, huh? Gonna do a half and half thing on this screen. Gathering of fools, bastards.
We'll get off the bourbon. Sorry.
I'm
no
okay
more bourbon
with it.
talk.
I'm okay with it.
PJ's like, really? Are they going to talk about bourbon the whole time?
I'm okay with bourbon.
He just hasn't had as much as we have.
Yeah, no, certainly not. Like I said, though, I thoroughly enjoyed that Eagle Rare last night, though. It was really good. What was the other one that I tried when I stopped over here for a minute? It was when you and Tommy were here, and I stopped over here for a minute to get something for Lacey. I can't remember which that one was.
E.H. Taylor, McKenna, Blanton,
I feel like
Weller.
it was something that you guys had like just gotten and hadn't tried yourselves.
Maybe the barrel proof.
I don't think it was like anything super crazy that you guys like know that you love.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one it would have been, man. There's too many bottles.
Yeah.
So I am interested in talking a little more beer because I see what PJ's drinking here. So happy birthday, Trey.
Yeah, so Trey, I forget what the actual beer is, but his girlfriend for his birthday got this beer that he likes and had them make special labels for him.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Because I was wondering because it just says Lustra and Happy Birthday Edition. It doesn't actually say like what it is or anything. That's why I was trying to hold it up to you and ask you what it was.
Yeah, it's a mild IPA, just a light hop on it.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah.
So just interested on what you. I mean, I already know mine because I was coming in prepared. You know, I like to come in prepared.
Yes, absolutely.
So what are your favorite IPAs. And by favorite, I mean, I don't mean top 5. Just give me 1 or 2. I've got 2 in my brain. I have 2. So
you know what's an old faithful that I go to all the time now? Usually whenever I go somewhere, I want to try to find something that I haven't had before, just because I want to try something new.
Sure.
Yeah.
But if I'm looking for something that I always like and it's always good, is Rheingeist Truth.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever had anything from Rheingeist that I haven't liked.
rock solid. I
Yeah.
completely agree. Out of Cincinnati.
Yeah, they do good.
Yeah.
To me, none of their beers blow my socks off, but they're all good.
Very
Right,
solid.
exactly.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
It's my favorite brewery is the same way. Is what's the one that does the Hop Stupid and
Is it Bell's?
no, it's the one from
Hop
it's
Stupid.
from
Trogs.
No, it's from California. It's from Petaluma.
Lagunitas.
Lagunitas. Yeah,
I'm not even
I don't
sure.
think
I'm not even sure they're still making beer. I haven't seen.
I haven't seen them in a while,
time.
which
Really?
that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think I've ever had a Lagunitas that I haven't liked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
So I can name a few. For those that don't know, the first thing I really got into was probably craft beer, alcohol wise.
When I first met you, I mean, you were like the go-to for craft beer knowledge.
I ran restaurants that had a ton of craft beer. I was all about craft beer, and I still am. I still enjoy craft beer. I just have fallen in love with bourbon. Bourbon gives me less of a hangover, and I love the flavor.
It was funny when he first started trying to introduce our large group of friends to craft beer. You know, we were all drinking. Most of us were in college at that point, drinking Natty Light. And,
and the first one I bought them was I brought home for them to try was Stone Ruination, which is an extremely aggressive IPA.
Right. So he take
That's
one sip
one of my top 2.
So he'd take one sip of it. I'm like, why do I feel like this is attacking my mouth?
Something isn't right about this.
It's trying to bite back. It like doesn't want to be swallowed.
Yeah, I had to learn that not everybody was like me because so how I originally got into craft beer is Bachtown Beer and Grill,
Sure.
no longer open.
Love the place.
I loved it too.
Yeah.
I went and applied for a job there. The owner's name is Chris Dilla, and I went and applied for a job there to be a server and a bartender. So this is a long time ago, and it was pretty much when they were pretty close to first being open. And we have the whole interview. I'd never had a craft beer at this point, so we get done with the interview, and she's like, "All right, yeah, the interview's over. You want a beer?" And I was like, "Is this a trick?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I say yes, do I not get the job?
And she was like, "I can see you're a little concerned. You got the job. You're hired. And now I would like to drink a beer with you."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Yeah, okay." So I just had my friend who already worked there, Tanner Rogers. Shout out Tanner. I had him just pick out a beer for me because I didn't know what the fuck to get.
Yeah.
And he brought me a Mojo Rising, which is a double IPA from Boulder, also very aggressive. But I'm the weirdo that I tasted it and I went, "Holy shit. What is this sweet nectar of the gods?" Now, the big problem was I then tried to sell beer like that because I might have been drinking Miller Lite at the time before
Sure.
that.
Sure.
So people would come in, they'd be like, so, you know, we're new to craft beer. Like, what should we get? And I'd be like, well, what do you normally drink? And they'd be like, Miller Lite. And I'd be like, double IPA. I'll be right back. And I'd bring it to them. They'd be like, why would you give this to me?
Yeah. What's wrong with you?
Yeah. Why? I'm not paying for this.
You know what your taste buds are really going to hate? This.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? I don't understand. And she had to sit me down like, hey, you're a weirdo. Most people go from Miller Lite to like a brown ale or a lager,
Yep.
not a double IPA.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to change your game plan here.
Dial it down, mister.
You know what
I was making sure people never came back.
You know what was the real olive branch for me with craft beer was Newcastle brown ale.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I still to this day can drink it. It's a very light, drinkable brown ale.
Absolutely. I'm a huge fan, and I love taking that and mixing it with a Guinness, which is a black and brown.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of misnomers about Guinness in the mix because you have half and half, which is Guinness and Harp.
Yeah.
And then you have black and tan, and a lot of people think black and tan is Guinness and Newcastle, and it's not. It's Guinness and Bass. But Bass is so hard to find now.
Yeah, it
Bass
really
Ale is like, I don't know. I mean, I assume they're still in operation, but I don't know if they're just not exporting like they used to.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I saw it.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
And then they also have with Guinness, they have what they call, at least in England, they call it a snake bite, and that is Guinness and Strongbow cider.
Nice.
Yeah.
I've never had one, but it sounds like it would be pretty good.
It's really good. It gets you drunk quick because you have to drink it fast or it starts to get real sedimenty. So, like, you get to the end, you're like, I don't want to drink this, so I got to drink the next one faster.
And then, of course, you have the Irish Car Bomb, which is spectacular. And it's like half a Guinness. You have half a shot of Jameson with Bailey's, drop it in, and you chug it. And it really comes.
And if you don't chug it, it curdles.
Yes, exactly.
So I got a story about the first time I tried snake bites. It's when I was in the Air Force, and I'm still in training to be a boom operator. So my sergeant is with us on this trip. We go to England. We're staying in this hotel, nice fancy hotel, like a piano in the main foyer or whatever you want to call it. And my sergeant was like a good old boy, like always a big dip in, stuff like that. So we start drinking in the bar that's in the hotel, and they introduce us to snake bites, and we're just throwing them back. Oof. Me, the other training boom who was a female named Bree, and then Sergeant Prosser. And we're slamming these back, and then the bartender's like, well, we got to close, but the night manager's been in there with us the whole time, and he is like, yeah, man, just you go ahead and go. Like, I'll stay with these guys. So he keeps letting us drink. Now he's hanging out with us in this foyer place where we're still drinking. Sergeant Prosser is pretending to play like he knows how to play the piano, and every once in a while pulling the vase up and spitting in it with his dip spit. and we're like wrestling in there, and then we're like, man, are we hungry? And he's like, you guys can just go back in the kitchen and make whatever you want. I think he really liked Brie. So the sun's up now, and we're still playing the piano, wrestling around, and all of a sudden what must have been the owner of the hotel comes busting into where we are, and she's like, what the fuck are you doing? She's like, I'm gonna call your captain. He was like, my Sergeant Prosser was like, no, you're not. And then the guy got fired because the night manager got fired because he also didn't make any of his wake-up calls to wake people up. Like, it was a menagerie.
Wow.
But it was a great fucking time.
And where was that again?
It was in England.
Okay.
I can't remember exactly where, but it was this awesome little cool, very luxurious hotel, but it was like a tiny, like,
so cool. What a great story.
It was hilarious.
Good memory too.
Yeah. Oh,
I don't know. I mean, I am very partial to a lot of English beers. I mean, one of my all-time favorite beers is Old Speckled Hen, and it's not really an IPA.
No.
I would put it more as an English ale.
Yeah.
You know,
and people do love it.
Yeah.
I can't even remember if I've had it, to be honest with you.
So they have it out of Valley.
Yeah.
But my top two IPAs.
Oh, yeah.
And you stole one of them, Stone Ruination. But I'll piggyback.
That was my first favorite.
I also really like Stone Delicious.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little less. I think Stone Ruination is close to 10, if not 10.
Yeah.
And Delicious is like maybe 7%.
Yeah, I think the original Stone Ruination, I think, was 9. And then they came out with Ruin 10.
Wow.
Which was their 10%.
Yeah. The other one that I really like, and it's a sentimental value thing. Hopefully you guys have had it. It's called the brewery is called Victory, but the particular beer IPA is called Victory Hop Devil.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
It's
real mainstream. I mean, very similar to, let's say, Bell's Two Hearted Ale.
Yeah.
It's not gonna.
It's a little darker in color than a lot of IPAs.
It's not gonna blow you away. But I've been to that place. How many times, Pam? What, 4 or 5 times? Victory.
Now, where is Victory?
So Victory is very close to Philadelphia.
Oh, okay.
It is west and south. They have 2 breweries, one in Downingtown, and then the other one, I can't remember the name of it, but the one that they opened, the newest one, they have an enormous bar, and they serve food there. And we've stopped there a couple of times, and the food's great. And then they have about 20 beers on tap, 10 of which are beers that they bottle, but the other 10 are sample beers they're just trying out
Like
and-
experiments.
Like
Exactly.
small batch kind of things.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then they have this huge growler
We love
or
that term, small batch.
Oh yeah.
cannery machine there that they'll can 32-ounce growlers for you if you like it,
Yeah.
because that's
Great.
the only way you're going to get it.
Right.
You're
That's-
never going to get
that's
it
really
again.
cool.
Yeah, unless they decide to make it one of their new.
Yeah.
They make a lot of beer.
They make a lot of beer. I mean, they have Golden Monkey. A lot of people know Golden Monkey.
Hop
It's-
Wallop.
Yep.
They make a ton. There's a
Yeah.
lot of stuff. So IPAs for me, Ruination was probably my first ever favorite. I moved on from it, but it's still a great beer. So I'm just gonna say Stone when
Yep.
it comes to IPAs. Stone.
Right.
Yep.
Anything Stone, give it a go if you like IPAs.
Yep.
That one we had last night was good. Did you have that? What was it? Drink by 4th of July or whatever.
All their drink buys are good, man. I got a Enjoy by 420 sitting up there.
Yeah, I had that.
And
one
that's
last
by
night.
Stone?
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
a red.
I haven't had any.
It was like a red, white, and blue can. It was really good. I had one last night.
They're always a little different. It's just enjoy by and whatever date they do. So, but anything they do, man, to me they're still at the forefront of the IPA game. I mean, they just had the seasonal Space Viking, I think it was called, and it was fucking phenomenal.
I feel like every time I see somebody that has Stone somewhere selling it, there's a different one that I've never seen before. You know what I mean? I feel like there is just continually more and more
They're
different
constantly
things for
making
Stone.
different seasonals and one-offs. They just do such a good job, and I love their mentality. They're like, this beer is not for you.
yeah. Right.
They're like, don't drink it.
Right.
And then everybody loves it. They're like the most popular. Like that Arrogant Bastard isn't even an IPA, but it is phenomenal. And Arrogant Bastard literally on there says, "This is not for you.
Yeah.
Don't drink it.
Yeah.
Go back to your Miller Lite." Is basically what it's.
Well, yeah, I mean, I feel like everything Stone is always so
aggressive
in your face,
Yeah.
aggressively hoppy.
That Delicious isn't as aggressive.
No.
The Space Viking was more of like a fruity IPA. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. It was one you could like sit back and drink on a barbecue day. You know what I mean?
The other brewery that I think was really on the forefront of IPAs, and I don't know if they've taken a back seat, but I think they just haven't been able to keep up with, say, like the Stones, is Dogfish Head. Mm-hmm. I mean, Dogfish was out there early on, and they were making some phenomenal stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, in the 60-90, they're still really good products.
And it's still hard to find them sometimes.
Yeah.
I just don't think they keep trying to reinvent the wheel. I just think they stick to their products now. I think they're so big that they're more like a Sam Adams. I think that's how big their brew system is now.
I agree.
Yeah.
They don't have the motivation, so to speak.
Yeah, they're established. They're
Yep.
there, and they do a lot of different and good beers, but they're not constantly being innovative. I
Yeah.
feel like, which I think Stone is still doing, and they don't have to, and good for them, because a lot of those microbreweries have now been swallowed up by InBev and these other much larger
Right.
places because there's too much.
Yeah.
There's too much craft beer, and it can't. There's not enough people to support all these different breweries.
There's no such thing.
I mean, I agree, but
Like
they
I
just,
said, every time I go somewhere, I look for the one that I've never had before, and it's very rare that I go somewhere I'm like, oh, I've had all of this.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you go to the places that don't usually have anything, but
yeah,
I
mean,
love when I go into Valley Wine and there's always something there that I've never had before.
Valley Wine does it really well.
Yeah.
They really do. Such a hidden gem as far as craft beer. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just
Oh, man.
crazy.
And it just got even bigger once they went to the new store, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's the reps that help them do it, because Mary's not a big beer drinker. I don't know if it's her reps that help her do it, but she makes sure that she has the new good things, and before anywhere else in the area usually has them.
Right.
I feel like usually they start selling at Valley, and then the reps are like, "Hey, Kroger's, this is selling like crazy at Valley, so maybe you guys should carry it."
Yeah.
And then she has to find something new again.
Yeah.
I don't know why the Wintersville Kroger doesn't have nearly the selection that the Steubenville
So
Kroger
bad.
does.
It's so bad.
What is that
PJ.
about?
I don't know, but I'd like to go, and whoever orders their alcohol, I'd like to just walk up one day and just bitch slap them right in the face.
beer. Yeah,
'Cause Steubenville has a great section, and
It's phenomenal.
and they even do the mix to six there. I don't know what Wintersville really dropped the ball on that one.
They
Well,
did,
they
and their
actually-
wine selection, same thing.
Really?
Like Steubenville's wine selection is unbelievable.
Really?
It's really crazy the wines that you can get down there.
They have nice shelves over there too, not
do.
just the bullshit shelves.
Now they have more space. I get it.
Right.
It's just more
But-
updated in general. It
Yeah.
really is.
Yeah.
This one down here, it's
Yeah.
it's a little beat to hell.
Yes, it is. But I mean, you walk through there and you're looking for a decent beer. I mean, you can, I mean,
You
what are
might
you going to
find
get?
one,
Right.
Like they used to always carry the Ballast Point stuff, which I've seen like is disappearing. Which
yeah,
also
I haven't seen any of that lately.
one of my favorite IPAs is definitely the Ballast Point Grapefruit Sculpin. I love those grapefruit IPAs, and I especially love Ballast Points. But that used to be my go-to if I was getting a craft beer from there. But yeah, their selection is terrible. It is.
Speaking of those like fruity ones like that, have you been to the brewery in Lisbon, the Numbers?
I have not.
So I had never even heard of it, but a nurse I work with was telling, because we got on the subject of craft beer, she was telling me.
Real quick, Steve, were you at the Central event at the country? Oh, you were doing the announcing, so you
Yes.
might not have tasted because that's what booth I was working was Numbers.
So
Okay.
they
Yeah.
do this one that's a blood orange ale. And I'm not usually huge on like the real fruity ones, but
I'm not either.
Man, it's damn
Really good?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't think I got a chance to try it, Dave, because I was just too busy talking. Imagine that.
Yeah. Well, honestly, you had to because that still took forever, and you were talking nonstop.
Yeah.
Like it hit 10 o'clock, and I was like, I gotta go to work early in the morning. Like I gotta go. I didn't know that I was signing up for a 1 o'clock in the morning thing.
Could someone please tell Steve Bolger to shut up?
No, I wanted you to. I didn't want them to let you take breaks because it was taking so long.
What were you announcing?
It was a reverse raffle. It was a fundraising event for Central, and
What's
you're-
a reverse raffle? They're giving you things.
right. It would be nice.
No,
So-
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go.
So a reverse raffle, basically everybody gets their name put up on the board. I can't remember if you can get multiples or not.
You
but,
can, yeah.
but everybody goes on there. So when they pull your ticket, you don't win. You get taken off the board, and so whoever's left at the end wins.
Oh.
Yeah, and they throw in like prizes in between there, so that like some of the numbers still win something, but it's
Right.
that. But that's
so
how
like
it works.
every 25th one you pull gets cash, and we had a bunch of prizes going through there. But it was I mean, don't let me kid you, PJ. It was a shit show. It was a total shit show, and Dave knows it because he had a kind of a bird's eye view of it all. Yeah. Like we had way too many. We had more than we anticipated. It was close to 400 names, and to get through that in a short period of time, and then people
you couldn't even walk through the room.
Oh, it was brutal.
And it took way longer than the ones we used to do when I was the manager there, the pot of luck that we used to do reverse raffles.
Way longer.
It took way longer than those.
So then how are you picking these names? How do you decide which name gets off the board?
So it's a basket, and that's part of the problem why it takes so long. You're turning the basket, someone picks out the name, they hand it to me, I announce it, I give it to somebody to put on an Excel spreadsheet. And then they got to cross their name out, and then someone walks across and be like, "Why'd you pull my name?"
yeah, they're mad at you.
Oh, sorry.
Like you did it on purpose.
Now get the fuck out of here.
You only purposely pick the people you really hate.
Yes.
But it was a fiasco.
Oh,
And
it was brutal.
It was a fiasco from the start. They didn't have it set up well. It was not great.
Oh no. It took like 4 hours.
Oh my god, it was so long. I was like, "What is happening? I got to get out of here." And I was expecting, to be able to like drink with a lot of my friends that were going to be there, and I was stuck behind this booth. I kept leaving the booth eventually. I was like, I've been here for way too long. This is not what I anticipated.
So Numbers is out of Lisbon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And how many different beers do they have?
Quite a few.
When I was looking them up on what's that beer app?
Advocate?
Yeah, Beer Advocate.
or
No, that's not it.
I know which one you're talking about. I can't think of what it's called though. I stopped using it a long time ago. It's where you can like announce all
Untapped.
the beers. Untapped, yeah.
Yeah, I just use it to look things up, and what's real nice about it too is if I want to go to Basil's and I before I decide to bring my growler, I can look at their tap list and
that's
decide if I want to bring my
Okay,
growler or not.
wait. So back up. So they will allow you. So did you buy the growler originally from there?
No.
So you can bring a growler in and they'll fill it up.
Oh yeah,
At
any
Basil's?
place.
I didn't-
for the
Most
part.
places will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you bring your own growler so you don't have to pay for the growler every time.
Yeah. Yeah, most
Yeah,
places
the
will
one
let you
I
do
have
that.
is from North Country, from up in Slippery Rock. That's where my
This is
growler's
the problem of when you get into a bourbon like hole, wind tunnel. I forget that there's really good beer out there and some really good things about it.
Yeah. I'll tell you, the only thing I don't like about Basil's, because I do love Basil's and I like their food and everything, but their tap list is hard to read because it's on that thing that scrolls.
That's why I like the Untapped app, because it's constant. It's always up to date on
That's
the
awesome.
Untapped app. And so
Do
I can
they
see
do the digital pour?
Yeah, the digital.
Pour the digital pour app that what's the place? It's out in Robinson.
where they say like
Industry
how much
Public
is left
House.
in the keg and stuff like that?
No, it gives you a scrolling. You know what they have on tap because they change it so much.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Industry
so
Public House.
at Basil's, on one of their TVs behind the bar, it has a constantly scrolling screen where it'll show like their menu, then it'll show their tap list.
Gotcha.
But it goes so quick, and the whole tap list is on like one or two screens that you can't read the whole thing before it switches.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so like I said, there's this Untapped app where I can look up Basil's on here, and it gives me their up-to-date tap list.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And then also on there, it if I've never heard of the beer, I can click on it, and it gives you like an all-around rating for it and things like that. It's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you used to be able to it was almost like a social network for beer drinkers.
It still
initially.
is, to be honest. You can see like if any of your friends has ever, because like if you drink a beer like this one right here, I could look it up and then click on it to say that I've had it. I can rate it, and then you have friends on there too, so you can see if your friends have had it
Yeah.
and what they said about it.
See, I'm thinking we need to piggyback off this
And
for
make one for
bourbon.
bourbon.
Yes.
Yeah,
A Bastards
No
of
one
Bourbon
else is
app.
doing it.
You know what would be really good about that too is you could check in saying like this place has this bourbon
They'd all be garden
that's
grill.
rare. You know what I'm
Around
saying?
here.
Or even at stores where you buy it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You could say, hey, this place has this one, so everybody. Well, I guess you probably wouldn't want to share that information.
I mean,
You
I don't
wanna
know
keep it
what.
for
I mean, a
yourselves, but-
bastard of bourbon's app.
Yeah, I know the guy. I just don't know what it would cost, but I know the guy. I know the guy to do it. Jake Young. That's pretty much his business. Is he does apps. He's the guy who said he would look at doing the website for me too.
Well, I mean, it's worth looking into because now we could be on to something that no one else is doing.
yeah,
I mean, I don't know, and I'm sure maybe it's out there.
yeah,
But I don't know of any bourbon apps out there where people.
yeah, I know of Facebook pages, things like that, but
Yeah.
not an actual app. Man, if that took off, hey, we're gonna delete this part of the episode.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I got to ask. So, what'd you think of the Boone County?
Love it. It's smooth,
Isn't it?
easy
I mean-
drinking, lots of flavor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. BJ?
I thought it was good. There was definitely. So I did it neat.
Yeah, I pretty much did as well.
I think I would have liked a little bit more with either a couple drops of water
Yep.
or a cube.
Sure.
Just because I'm not, as much of a bourbon drinker as
You're
you
not
guys,
as
for sure.
refined.
Yeah, no, I am definitely more a beer drinker than anything. But no, it was good. Like I said, I don't think it was. I think it had more of a bite than the Eagle Rare for sure. But again, I had the Eagle Rare on a
cube.
On a cube.
And I
as
don't.
well.
been
And
drinking
I'll tell
for a
you what.
while.
And I don't disagree with that. I mean, this normally you could get for $35. I paid $40 because I got it off market. So compared to Eagle Rare, I mean, I think that's a good comparison. Eagle Rare is what, 40?
No, like 32. E.H. Taylor's 38.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, you know what we should do? Because, it's hard to get PJ scheduled because of his work schedule and stuff like that. He's
And
never,
a 2-year-old.
I was gonna say,
yeah.
I work 3 to 4 days a week. I don't think that's what's really doing it.
but we, just because we always have to do him on Saturday, he's not always off on the weekend. And then sometimes, family.
Yeah, right.
You got a little kid running around like a hellion.
Yeah,
But
she's willful, is how I like
She's
to put it.
imaginative.
So not do a full on bourbon tasting, but let him get the experience of adding the water, smelling the difference, and stuff like that. I think we should do that. So I'm gonna grab that stuff together. Talk amongst yourselves, strangers.
We will talk.
So I know you guys are always talking about the different shows and things. So me and my wife, our go-tos are always like the murder mystery and
Ooh.
the serial killer shows?
Yes.
Do you have anything lately that you've seen?
So, I mean, it depends if you're talking documentary or not. But there was this show on Netflix,
Mindhunters. Fucking phenomenal.
Oh, my God.
Did you watch the second season yet?
Yes.
Okay, so the only thing I didn't like about the second season is that
Thank you.
they did all this stuff with BTK,
Right.
but then it just kind of went away. Like they never did anything
Right.
with it. You know what I mean? Which I mean, it kind of makes sense because of the time period that they were in. BTK didn't get caught till what, like 91 or something like that. I mean,
Yeah.
they're still in the 70s in the show.
Right.
But I feel like that they just kind of never went anywhere with that.
And I
The
was
first season was phenomenal.
unbelievable. And I was devastated to hear that they weren't doing any more seasons.
I
And
heard it got shelved indefinitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. And the guy who was the creator of that, I don't know if you remember the show years and years ago, Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
So that same guy, right? And Twin Peaks was really kind of a dark, very ominous, and had a lot of crazy stuff in it.
Right.
But what I was most impressed about that series is how real it seemed like these serial killers were, like how much they looked like them.
I was gonna say, have you seen the side-by-side stills that they do? I saw on Facebook.
Unbelievable.
I actually just randomly on YouTube the other day saw this random little clip of Ed Kemper. It was a real life interview with the real Ed Kemper, and it was a side-by-side of the one that they used for Mindhunters. It was uncanny.
It was spot on.
Did we watch season 2?
Yes, we did. Yeah. And the thing with not only Ed Kemper, she just watched a separate what was it? It was a documentary on Ed Kemper, right?
Really?
And I think it was on ID Investigation.
Ooh,
I
yeah.
can't remember the name. Pam, do you remember the name of the Ed Kemper one?
I thought it was Kemper on Kemper.
It might have been. So Kemper, but not only Kemper, but Manson looked exactly alike.
Yeah.
Oh God, who was
I'm
the
trying
son
to
of Sam guy? David
Berkowitz.
Berkowitz.
Yeah.
It was just crazy how much they looked like each other, and it was such a great series. I can't believe they shelved it.
Right.
I really
It was
can't.
amazing. And it was one of those ones that I know you've talked about how you like things that are like based on true stories too. Like that was another one where that actually happened. Like these two people from the FBI were the first ones to realize pretty much that there were serial killers out there.
Yep.
Oh man, it was
So the one I'm really into now, and it's not necessarily in any way a like thriller or based on serial killers or anything like that, is Homecoming. And Homecoming stars Julia Roberts, and I'm about halfway through season 1, but man, is it really good. And it's all about guys coming back from in the armed forces, coming back from active duty.
with like PTSD and stuff, right?
Yes.
It's
So
yeah,
good,
yeah. And it seemed like in the preview I saw, it seemed like it almost had like a little bit of like a thriller aspect to it.
It definitely,
or at least a mystery. You know what
definitely
I mean?
does.
Like there's something in the background going on that they're not telling you the whole thing.
I completely agree with that.
Yeah, that's it. Because man, I feel like we have exhausted Netflix. And,
How about have you watched any of the Amazon one with Al Pacino, where they're hunting the Nazis?
No, but I heard it's really good. I need to check that one out.
And I can't think of the name of it for the life of me. Dave will know it.
where they're
for
hunting
sure.
the Nazis. What is
I
that
think
one?
it's actually Hunters.
Yeah,
Hunters.
that's what it is. Hunters.
Yeah.
I
And
tell
it's
you what, though,
excellent.
for some reason, me and Lacey always find that the British murder mystery ones are always the best. I don't know what it is. Have you ever watched Broadchurch with David Tennant?
No, but I know who David Tennant is. But
Holy
no, I have
hell!
not.
There's 3 seasons of that on Netflix. It is stupid good.
One of my favorite things is a British show, and it's the Sherlock Holmes with Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah, that's really good too.
It's unbelievable. Did you ever watch that?
No,
They're
no.
they're only like 3 or 4 episodes each season, but they're all like a movie length.
yeah, they're all like an hour to an hour and a half long at
Yeah.
least.
Yeah, I think they're at least an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And it's so good. It's the best version of Sherlock Holmes I've ever seen.
It's interesting because one of the things I really liked about Julia Roberts and Homecoming, they're only like 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's
30
quick.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
And it's like all of a sudden you're like, wait, I need to see the next one, but it makes you stay for the next one.
Wow, yeah, I definitely would have thought that would have been like an hour-long
Yeah.
show for sure. Just from the feel of the preview kind of thing, it seemed like a very serious show. Usually, you don't get like half-hour serious shows. You know what I mean?
Steve, you're gonna love this. So Pam asked me if there was a bourbon she could put some Diet Coke on. You want to know what I gave her?
Benchmark. Oh.
I gave her the Weller Green.
Trash.
It's not trash. It's Weller.
What
But it's terrible.
one you hate that you always talk about?
Yellowstone's the
Yellowstone.
one. Yeah, I don't have that here now. I left it at somebody's house. But then I regret it because I drank it there, and I was like, it's not as bad as I thought it was. I think we ruined it with the Widow Jane.
Yeah,
But the
there's
Weller Green label deserves Diet Coke. I would much rather drink the Benchmark.
Perfect.
Yeah, I would much rather drink the Benchmark than the Weller Green label.
So that Four Roses over there.
Which one?
Well, so I see the small batch one with the light tan label. Is there just like a regular straight Four Roses that's not small batch, that's not anything?
Yes.
There's a Four Roses. I think they call it Yellow Label or something
Yeah.
like that, and it's like $20.
But
a bottle.
does it look pretty much exactly like
No.
the bottle look like that?
No,
Okay, I don't know why, because for some reason
it looks more like this.
Yes.
Okay, well it must. So how much is that small batch one then?
The regular small batch or the
Yeah.
small batch select?
The light tan one.
The regular small batch runs about 30. The single barrel runs about 40, and the small batch select is 60.
So what's funny is when I
And
was
the single barrel is the best one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan.
So when I was living in Kent, whenever we would go to the grocery store to get liquor, I mean, it's not like we were looking for anything in particular or
Right.
we had no refined taste.
yeah, you just
Like I
wanted to
said,
get drunk.
Most of the time we were drinking Natty if we were drinking beer. So I remember buying that bottle of Four Roses all the time to mix with fucking Coke or
For that, it's the small batch.
I know that bottle. That's why I was asking if there was if the lower one looked like that bottle, because
Little did he know.
it was that bottle for sure.
Hilarious. You had a decent bourbon on your hands. Like a
What's
lot-
funny is when we run through our cheaper bourbon at the house,
Yeah.
and then someone's going over, and I say someone, it could be Pam, it could be one of the boys, and they're like, well, what can I mix with this Diet Coke? And like last night I'm looking, I'm like, nothing. You can mix nothing.
Don't touch it. Pick something else to mix with.
Don't
So I finally-
sully the good name of any. of
I
this
finally
here.
went with the David Nicholson process of elimination.
How is that though? You said it was
It's-
decent, right?
It's okay. Yes,
Yeah.
it's decent. I mean, I need to give it more of a chance.
I think you thought it was more expensive than it was too, because I think it's like 31, 35, somewhere
Yeah.
around there. It
Oh.
might be 40, but I think you thought it was 60.
Yeah.
Yeah. But let's do this little tasting right
So,
here.
which one is this one?
So this is the Old Forester 1920. Definitely one of.
Is this a preview to Saturday?
Oh
Little
yeah,
preview?
actually it is a little preview because this coming Saturday we're going to be doing the Old Forester tasting with what are their names again?
Michael Manfresco or Manny
Okay.
and Patrick Spees.
All right, we got some young bucks coming.
Young
on.
bucks, 24-year-olds.
Yeah, are they ready?
I think they're ready.
Should
They're
we-
preparing.
Should we have a driver ready for them?
I've already warned their parents. They are on call.
Okay, good.
They may even come and be part of the peanut gallery.
Yeah, they come hang out. That's
Yeah.
why I rearranged it like this. So
Right.
yeah. But so PJ, what we're gonna do is you're gonna smell this, all right, and then you're going to taste it, and then we're gonna add the drops of water, and you're gonna get the different smell and a little bit of a different taste as well.
I just like to say, any other time when you're growing up and somebody tells you to smell something, it's never good.
Never good. Never good. Never good.
This is the one exception to
Yes.
the rule.
Yeah. This would
I
be the
will
one
say,
exception.
Don't breathe real deep. Just give it a smell. And also, once you put the water in, don't shake it like you did there. It's good to do when it doesn't have the water, but it changes what happens with the water if you shake it after you put
Okay.
the water in.
Little chemistry here.
Yeah.
It smells a little sweet.
And PJ, just so you know, because this is well chronicled, but I don't know how many of the bourbon tastings you've listened to.
I think
This
I've
is-
heard all of them, but the newest one with
Okay.
Jeff.
So this is what we call a
big boy bourbon.
Yes.
Yes, a big boy brand. That's what, over 100?
Over 100.
Yeah.
This one runs 115. So then you just take this dropper right here. Don't do what Jeff did and dump the whole thing in.
You know, what's sad about this is Dave and I just can't help ourselves. We're going to make any podcast into a bourbon podcast one way or another.
Real quick, before you put that water in, PJ, smell it real quick and then put the water in and smell it. Yeah, we just can't help it. But PJ's never been on one and he's never gone through this process. Yeah, it should be good.
Thank you.
You smell that difference?
Oh, wow, yeah. I what's weird is I feel like it almost lost some sweetness there. Like I feel like it
probably
smelled,
did.
I feel like it smelled sweeter
Yeah.
before the water.
Maybe a little too much water. I actually get, every time I do it with 1920, I get more of like a maple
Yeah.
when I add the water. Maple, brown sugar, something to that
Yep.
effect.
Definitely brown sugar.
Yeah.
I get it.
I'm telling you, that's in my top 5
You know,
bourbons.
and the thing is, I'm going to come into that bourbon tasting next week, and I'm going to be like, nothing's better than 1920. There's not a chance. But I hope, maybe I'm blown away. There's going to be bourbons I haven't had yet.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, do you still have the Statesman?
I do.
Okay, good.
All right, and I have just enough for the tasting.
Okay.
I know,
Because if not, we could have grabbed a bottle from Tommy.
Yeah, no, we're good.
Okay.
We're good.
And then we have this whole series. I don't know what they call this series, but we have this whole series. We have the 100 proof. We have the regular Old Foresters, and we have the Statesman.
And I'll bring this because I have a bottle and a half, so I'll bring my half.
Okay.
Just so we're not killing that.
Okay. Yeah, that works for me. Yeah, because I just finished my other
And then
bottle
I'm still looking. I mean, we might be able to capture another one.
There's just not a lot out there. There is a single barrel, but the only place you can get it is Columbus because it's one of those barrel picks that Ohio did, and it's only in Columbus. I almost tried to make that trip.
This is why you need the Bastards of Bourbon app so that people can check in and say this is available here.
Right.
Well, Ohio itself
That's a good point.
has a OHLQ, and you can kind of see what's where. It's not always accurate, but
Yeah.
but Columbus is the only place according to OHLQ that has it.
I have found out that Pennsylvania's equivalent to that is very inaccurate.
Oh, really?
I mean, we were driving to Philly, so that's literally driving the 76 Turnpike the entire length of Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. And the entire time, I am I have my son in the back seat, and we're looking for blends, like die hard. Like I am like, listen, I have got to find blends. So he's checking liquor stores the entire way off of 76, calling places, can't find it. But it says that they have it on the site.
Yeah.
Calls there. Oh, no, we don't have it. Or they laugh at him. They're like, oh. Blanton's.
Good try. Yeah. Well, and I'll tell you what, whenever I give you guys the call now, we're going to have to be there at 7.
Yeah.
We got so many people calling and asking about it now. We're going to have to be there on the dot.
So the funny story about that particular trip, which was last January, I start having him call New Jersey liquor stores.
Because you're so close.
Right. And it's right across the river. So we find one, and they have multiple bottles.
Oh, nice.
And we get in there, and we go straight to that particular liquor store. And I go in, and, I'm like, yeah, you're holding, a bottle of Blanton's. I'm like, how many do you have? He's like, oh, we have 3. And I'm like, can I buy all 3?
Yeah.
He was like, oh, yeah. No problem.
Wasn't even one
Didn't
per
even-
customer.
No.
We're moving to Jersey.
Yeah. This is also the
You
same.
tried that once, it didn't go well.
It did not go well. One day we'll tell that story on the podcast.
So, like 6 months later, we go back to that same liquor store. I'm thinking I have found the Blanton's connection, right?
Mm-hmm.
Go back in, ask the guy about Blanton's. He's like, we haven't been able to get it. I'm sorry. And I, just on a whim, I was like, well, what about Henry McKenna? And he's like, oh, yeah, we got 2 in back, but it's only 1 per customer. And I was with Jeff at the time.
Thank God.
So we each got one.
Yeah. I'm shocked I fell into the 2 bottles of McKenna.
Yeah, I mean, you should be ecstatic.
Yeah, I really was. And, as much as I wanted to taste that Larceny Barrel Proof, and I wouldn't mind having it in my collection, I knew Jeff had to have that bottle. He'd been hunting for it, and two, he was trading me a bottle of McKenna, and I
Right.
was definitely okay with that.
Yeah.
I've been able to drink McKenna pretty freely right now.
He is a McKenna hoarder.
Is he?
He probably had like 3 bottles of it. He was like, "Oh yeah, I can switch that off." So PJ, I'm just curious. So what do you think of this?
So this one was good. It was definitely I liked it more with a couple drops of water. I'm always been, even with Scotch, been somebody that likes a cube. So I'm much less of a neat person.
Yeah.
It was good. I like I said, I don't know what it was last night about that Eagle Rare. It was just so
Buffalo Trace, brother.
smooth, man. Yeah. Like it just, and like I said, I had the cube as well, so I'm sure that took some of the bite as well.
Yeah.
But it was just so smooth. It had the perfect amount of sweetness, not overly sweet, but it had that little bit of sweetness.
Yeah.
It was really good. And so I find myself comparing to last night, and it was it.
Yeah, and probably the only time you've had Blanton's, you were already way too drunk to even really remember it.
I was gonna say, if I've had it,
I took
that
it-
memory is gone from me.
I took it to your house, like, I don't know, maybe a month ago when I came over at at like 12:30.
Yeah, right. He got there at 12:30 and I already had
Popped open a fresh bottle of Blanton's.
I had already had 6 IPAs at that point.
I don't want to overstep my bounds, but I feel like PJ should try a little bit of Blanton's.
kind of what I was thinking.
I mean, I kept looking at the bottle.
I think we're gonna drink some bourbon.
I kept looking at the bottle, thinking
do
that
they
somebody
drink so
might
much
catch my
bourbon?
gaze going up there. Like, like, is that a thing? Are you allowed to ask for the bourbon?
Do they not?
Let me ask for you.
Or does the Blantons need to choose you?
They're supposed to be drinking beer. Why do they have to have bourbon? Don't they realize this is gathering of fools? Yeah, go ahead and grab that, P.
Well, we already had the explosion of the beer, so
we might have to change it to bourbon bitches because they're easy.
I was gonna say,
We should
just straight up sluts.
sluts. Give them a little bit of bourbon and the legs go wide.
I like how every time Steve tells certain jokes, he looks back at his wife. Yeah, and she just goes, "These fuckers."
he gives it a little,
There's nothing better than the on the last podcast when I start telling the chickpea
Oh my god! And she's just yelling
joke.
no. in the
No,
background.
no.
Yeah.
what's wrong with chickpeas?
No, go ahead. Give it to him.
Okay. So what's the difference between a lentil and a chickpea?
Well, they're two completely different things. One is a very small, tiny little bean that.
Go ahead, go. Please give me the
Yeah,
detail.
give us the
I mean,
details.
Anything you say is not going to be correct.
A
go
lentil is like this fucking bit. It's like the size of a grain of rice, even smaller. Half a
But
grain
you
of
would
rice.
say somewhat similar.
in taste.
No, just in
They're a
Composition?
They're a small little
composition. Yes.
Okay, yeah, I'll give you that.
Okay. I've never had a lentil on my face.
Bad enough that he said it last time.
Just in case anybody
thing. Missed that episode.
missed that one, they can get it again. Just like
Well, it's
soak it in.
And since BJ had never
Comes
heard
right
it,
back around.
since BJ had never heard it, it had to be done.
He's breaking down the composition of
Yeah.
lentils versus chickpeas.
Well, so I worked at a Middle Eastern restaurant up in Kent. I'm like, well, we made lentil soup, we made our own hummus. Like these are
Oh, so you
there's
know
lots
they're-
of differences actually. If you want, I'm like,
I love that
is
he
it-
was
is this
really
a-
going to give us a break.
Is this a trick question? I mean,
It's like, what's wrong with him? Why is he even asking this question?
why don't you know?
Yeah, this is a silly question.
Garbanzo beans.
That's so fucking funny.
You guys have problems.
Oh, we're well aware that we have problems.
I almost asked what kind of lentil. There's a couple different lentils if we want to get real specific.
We're going to go a little smaller on this.
So, brother, did you finally read the what's that book? The Marvel, the one that you said you couldn't get into right away.
Dude, I haven't been doing any reading, brother. I've been trying to focus on stuff for this podcast.
I cannot think of what
The
it's
Secret
called.
Wars.
Yeah, Secret Wars.
Yeah, no, I didn't get into it yet.
What about the Ninja Turtles one? Did you ever bust into that at all?
No, I haven't. I just love having that.
I know, it's sweet.
Plus, the guy who gave me those things was, robbing me blind, so they've been kind of just tucked away. Oh, no, you gave me the Ninja Turtle one.
Yeah, I gave you the Ninja Turtle.
Yeah,
I was
you
like,
gave me
wait,
the
I
Ninja
never
Turtle.
robbed you. What do you mean?
I've never once robbed you. We're family.
Not that I know of. I don't remember robbing you. I'm sorry if I did.
I forgot you gave me that one. That guy gave me the Secret Wars and the Die Hard Christmas book.
You were just subtly trying to tell me that I robbed you.
Yeah, you
at
owe me
some
money.
point. I have money, I promise. I'll pay you back.
Oh, God, that's fucking funny. I don't remember robbing you.
I had a sad reminder as I was in the bathroom and I looked in the mirror washing my hands, and I had all kinds of crazy spots on the front of my Gathering of Fools shirt from the beer explosion earlier.
Oh, God, it was so crazy.
It actually looks like diarrhea.
Just hanging out on your shirt. Hopefully Pam can work some wonders on that shirt.
Thankfully, it's black.
True. And hopefully, I don't know. I'm gonna message her. I'm gonna message her sometime this week and see when the first rung of Bastards of Bourbon shirts are coming in.
Sorry, Dave. I went a little heavy with my pour. I know, big surprise. Big surprise, right?
Oh, God, that smell. Woo. That is just gold.
As I like to call it, it's my apex.
It's just it's so funny because when I first started drinking bourbon, it was not my favorite, and now I'm like, for the bottles I can get my hands on, it for sure is. By the way, there's a small chance I'm getting my hands on a E.H. Taylor single barrel and a Stag Junior. Small chance. Small chance. I'm gonna pay a little bit more than I should.
Bean?
Yeah.
Well, listen, I will help you with that Stag Junior. I'll help you with whatever you want. I mean, I'll split it with you.
Yeah,
You just let me know.
I just figured we were talking about that Buffalo Trace tasting. That's two that we can add to it, and
Which is probably what we're going to need to start doing is start
for the podcast
buying bottles together.
Yeah, for the podcast,
Yeah.
we're going to have to start
Yeah.
paying a little more for some of these bottles that we want to try because we're going to run out of bottles.
Right.
We're going to have to get creative with these tastings. All right, so PJ, give this one a little.
I'm not going to lie. Smell alone, I already like this one better than the Forester. Where are you at on your collection of the letters?
Yeah, we need to make that happen.
I think I only have 3 so far. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I have one there.
Multiple duplicates or what?
One, no, just one there.
Oh, okay.
One
You
there,
just
one
only
there.
got. Were they all 3 separate letters?
Yes.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So, so I need what, 4 more?
Yeah. Well,
just-
I mean, I can make that happen for you. I feel like I can. So I have one full collection. Then I have an entire second collection minus 1 letter.
Yeah.
And then I have a third one minus 4.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because I really want to get one of the things made so that we can put it on the table,
Right.
have a decoration for the podcast studio. I think it's a must have.
And they have a lot of cool different displays that you can get.
Yeah.
Justin's got one that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like that one.
That one's from Buffalo Trace.
Oh, really?
And,
Yeah.
and is that the Justin?
His
whose
last name is Bland. Yes,
Yeah.
it's very
Come on.
He
He needs to be on the bourbon. He's going to have to be a guest.
Oh yeah,
Don't
for
you agree?
sure. And he's just hilarious. But I almost stole it from him because I thought I found that and gave it to him, and I was just gonna take it one night when I was over there for fights and he wasn't there, and then luckily I forgot about it because his parents gave it to him. So I thought you robbed me, and so now give it another sniff, add the water, and see that difference. God, I love Bland's. I've actually only being a little careful with it because I want to make sure I don't know when it's coming in again, and I want to make sure we have some for that podcast as well. But Tommy said if we finish that Bland's off here, he'll bring his bottle and leave it here.
Justin should just pretend that he's part of the Blanton's family when he
just fucking
comes
walk
on
in
and
there.
just start shouting out all kinds of random untrue facts about Blanton's distillery.
I think he should just walk into Buffalo Trace and be like, "Hey, I'm here for my namesake. I need some bottles of Blanton's."
Listen, I mean, the fact that he has that last name and he hasn't piggybacked off of it already.
Yeah.
My God.
Right. So did you get that little bit of a different in the smell after you added the water?
I did. I don't have as much of a refined nose, partially because nature is literally trying to kill me right now.
Allergies?
Dude, it's like
bad.
pollen is on steroids
Yeah,
this
it's bad.
season or
It's
what.
bad,
I don't know
I
what's
know.
going on. I normally wear contacts way too long. Like I'm one of those people that wears them for like a month straight or more without taking them out.
I'm not even adding water to mine.
Like they become a part of my eye.
yeah.
And I have to like peel them off of
Yeah,
my
I know.
eye. to get them out.
I feel your pain.
I'm gonna go blind eventually. I'm sure of it.
I just wear glasses. I've never worn contacts. The only time it's really a pain in the ass is if I try to see a 3D movie, which I don't do very often because then I got to wear glasses on top of my glasses.
I just hate that I can't wear sunglasses.
Yeah.
And the sunglasses.
Without contacts.
Right. Without context. So, like, when I have glasses, if I take my glasses off to put sunglasses on, then I can't see anything.
I have prescription sunglasses.
Right. But then you only have one pair of sunglasses. And no matter it, without fail, if I buy a pair of sunglasses that are worth more than $10, they're lost or broken.
Right.
He actually took my
I'm
last
right there
pair.
with you.
He took my last pair of prescription sunglasses. And
Lost
wore them.
and
And
I
lost them.
lost them. Like I said, lost or broken. That's it. Those are the
Yeah.
only two options when it comes to anything worth more than $10 when
Right.
it comes to sunglasses.
Right. I am right there with you. I'm telling you right now, and my wife can attest. I mean, if you give me a good pair of sunglasses, I'm lucky to have them for 6 months. Lucky. Because I just lose them, you know? I mean, they're easy to lose.
But man, I get a $10 pair of sunglasses, they'll last me fucking 10 years.
Yeah.
I had bought another since he lost that pair. I'd bought another pair of prescription sunglasses, and I have no idea where they are.
Yeah, it's impossible. And then you only have one pair. You know what I mean? Like, not that I'm, a huge stylish person that needs multiple pairs of sunglasses to go with multiple pairs of outfits, but
He's got them all color coordinated.
right. But still, you have one option.
He wears nothing but comic book T-shirts, but he does have a lot of fancy glasses.
Well, and then you can go with the stupid polarized, prescription glasses, and those things are a fucking joke. For the first half hour that you walk into a place, you still have sunglasses on because it can't change
Yeah.
immediately, and you look like an idiot. They're so terrible. I hate them.
I would never.
And then you walk
get those.
outside, and it takes 20 minutes for them to
Right.
get dark.
Yeah.
They're not worth it.
No. I really want LASIK, but it's also
So just so you
scary.
know, you're not alone. You're not alone. I wear contacts. I have them in now. And because of my progressed age, which I was aging myself a little more earlier in this podcast, but
Yeah, you were making yourself like 80 years old.
I have now progressed to trying out what they call multifocal contacts, which are basically bifocal contacts.
right.
Oh, that's
right.
crazy.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, they're great. But here's the problem. During this time of year, I wake up and I can barely open up both of my eyes. They're like crusted shut.
Oh
Yeah.
shit.
It has nothing to do with the contacts.
It's
And you
allergies.
shouldn't be sleeping with contacts to begin with.
Yeah.
But I'm
Yes.
lazy. I'm lazy.
Same. Like I said, I go a month or more without taking them out during
Yeah.
the winter. But
Yeah.
then, man, when the pollen comes, it's literally like nature is trying to kill me.
Right.
Yeah.
But you will notice as the older you get, you're not going to be able to do that. I mean, I would go when I was younger, and I don't know how old you are, but when I was younger, I'd go, like you said, weeks, months at a time without taking out my contacts.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's wild.
I literally, and the past couple weeks, I haven't been able to wear them for more than like 12 hours, and I got to take them out for like 2 days just because they're irritating my eyes so bad because the pollen is like raping my eyes.
Yeah, you've always had really bad allergies. He used to have to go get the shots in his back all the
Oh.
time.
Yeah, once a week, and taking a pill every day. It's terrible.
You got to be careful using the word raping on the podcast.
It upsets Pam.
Dude, literally, it was so bad today.
It was pirates, Pam. We were talking about pirates.
I took 2 Benadryl and an allergy pill today just to try to get it to stop.
Listen,
It
I'm
was
sure the
terrible.
cats aren't helping that either.
Yeah, are you allergic to cats? I don't
No,
know.
actually, surprisingly not. Cats and dogs never been allergic to.
It's just everything outside. He
Yeah,
should be a
grass,
bubble boy.
trees, pollen, dust. So I'm technically not even safe inside. There's still dust inside.
Especially in this shabby place.
Oh my god, it's terrible.
Listen, I feel your pain. The only thing that ever worked for me was Zyrtec.
And so for the longest time, I had either Zyrtec or Claritin or whatever. And the past couple of years, I've just been buying like the off-brand Loratadine over the counter.
Yep.
But man, this year is just not touching it. Pollen has come with a vengeance this year.
So I have the next best cure for you, and I'm telling you, this
Remove
one,
your eyes.
A spoon.
start drinking bourbon.
And then you don't notice.
Right. At least have 2 glasses a night.
That's what this dropper is for in the morning. Just 2 to 3 drops of Blanton's in each eye.
I think we're talking about drinking it, but yeah, you can try that. See what happens. Yeah, I think I fully believe that I have been marked safe from COVID due to bourbon.
Yes. It is the elixir
Yes.
that cures all.
I think I've been marked safe due to overexposure.
Yeah, he works at the ER.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought I was in a bad situation working at a nursing home. Nowhere near working
In the
at
ER.
ER. No.
Luckily, we barely got any cases around here.
Our county was lucky for sure.
Very lucky. Hopefully, we remain lucky. But last I saw was 67. It might be a little higher now.
I think that's right about right. To be honest, I think a big thing was I kind of think it went through this area already. Between December and February, we had a lot of people come in, super high fevers, coughs that wouldn't go away, like a month or more with these coughs, tested negative for the flu, respiratory panel was negative for all kinds of viruses. And so we were just sending them home with, random viral illness. And so I think we already had a little bit of a run anyways.
I can't agree with you more. Just speaking from the nursing home perspective, we had the exact same situation. Probably 5-6 different residents in that time frame.
Yeah.
Where they got tested for the flu, just like you said. They tested negative. We had no idea what they had.
Yeah.
And I totally agree. I think it was through the area.
I was one of those people. I was so sick that I pretty much didn't leave my room. When I finally did, I went to make a grilled cheese, and I was so exhausted just from making the grilled cheese. I had to take it off of the stovetop and lay down for a minute. And that's not it's funny, it's hilarious, but it's not a joke. That really happened. I was like, I need to lay down. Just let me set this off to the side. I'll come back to this and lay down.
Wow.
But I said the same thing. Like I think I might have had it. Then I heard a lot of the people that I listened to on podcasts that all said that they thought they had it at this point in time, but then they got tested and they didn't end up having it. But they had something real bad.
But so the test that they do is, do you know the actual percentage? I think it's like a 60% maybe of accuracy, something like that.
I don't know the percentage, but I know where you're going, and I completely agree.
And there's 2 different
There's one
parts to that. Well, no, so there's 2 different parts to that. One, the test in itself is only so accurate, and then 2, the person doing the test, like, you got to touch their brain, man. If you don't get way up in there and make an omelet of their brain, you're not doing it right.
I don't want that.
I
have that to look forward to.
You should see how far this thing's got to go into your face.
Do you have to do that, Steve?
Yeah. So they just did a mandate last Wednesday. Might have actually even been a little earlier than that, where all nursing home employees will be tested.
Wow.
And it's a mandate, so you have no choice.
They're the most at-risk people.
And
you
it's
guys were lucky though, right? You didn't have any positive cases.
No
right?
positive cases so far, thank God.
Yeah.
And
there was only a couple in the area that did.
You're right. There were only 2 nursing homes that I'm aware of to date.
Yeah, I think that's correct.
But The way they're going to do it is they're going to send in the National Guard. It's going to be a team of 4 or 5 people, and they're going to test the entire building in one day.
Jesus, you're going to have a lot of people complaining about their brain.
Yeah. And so I've already had a few people come to me, employees, I'm going to have a full-blown meeting just once we know the date they're coming in.
Yeah.
But they hear, and, I'm talking to people. So I've already had one person put their 2-week notice in because they said they will not be tested by the government. They do not want them to have their DNA. It's like, okay, fine. If you don't get tested, you cannot work here.
I don't know what else to tell you.
It's just how it works.
And I think those were my exact words. I don't know what else to tell you.
That's just so. These people and their conspiracies are just fucking crazy.
It's crazy. It is crazy.
I'll tell you one that kills me is the one about Bill Gates being Satan, and you like ask people that believe in that, like, why, and they're like, well, because all these different things that deal with viruses and stuff, he's donated money to. So because he donated money to causes he thought was good makes him sinister?
Yeah.
Like, what if I had a whole bunch of money and I donated to those things? Am I a bad guy?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any fucking sense to
No,
me. This
none.
is a guy who literally has given up a large portion of his very extensive wealth already, and in his will is giving up all but 10% of it. He's going to leave 10% to his family, but the rest is going to go to donated causes when he dies.
Right.
But he's the devil.
Yeah.
They put pictures up of him with red eyes. And
You know what's funny is how far both sides go to. So there's
Oh,
obviously-
yeah.
So
Both sides are terrible.
I actually know a doctor that when this was all first starting, that it was just starting to hit the U.S. and it was going on. She said that she said goodbye to her family and moved out of the house for this, and lived in a hotel or whatever to not expose them. Which that's whatever. That's if you want to be safe, that's fine. But said goodbye to her husband and children,
just in case.
and said that she thought 2.2 billion people were going to die. I'm like, that's a quarter of the population of the world, right? Like the world.
That's a lot.
That's like Spanish flu on steroids.
Right. I was gonna say we've had too much advances in the medical field to lose that many people.
Like,
I feel
I'm in
no
the
matter
medical
what.
field. I get that it can be very serious.
Yeah.
It's not, wiping out a quarter of the planet serious.
No. And I just was telling someone the other night at Valley Wine Cellar, we had this conversation, and everybody wants to compare it to the flu for good reason, because it's obviously very similar.
Yes.
Right. It is a respiratory viral illness.
Yeah.
I mean,
So what I was trying to explain to them is that when we get the flu in a nursing home, it's super serious, because if it spreads, it's going to wipe out,
Could potentially.
wipe out quite a few people, because they have so many comorbidities, right?
Yeah.
This is no different. The difference is that our residents get a flu vaccine every year,
Yeah.
usually in the fall,
Yeah.
October, November at the latest.
And then real quick about the flu vaccines, people say, well, they still haven't got rid of the flu. Well, every year it's a slightly different strain of the flu is what they don't understand. Right. And the vaccine they give you helps you fight against other strains is what the hope
And that
is.
vaccine might change year to year.
It
Yes.
does. And
Yeah,
so
it does.
We actually base ours off of Australia. And so some years it works better and some years it works less, because we base ours off of what Australia is going through, thinking that we're going to get pretty much the same strain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then also, too, I was telling somebody last night.
Well, hold on. He hadn't finished.
Well, no,
yeah.
no. To finish that is, so COVID, in my opinion, is no different than us getting the flu in there. We would treat it the exact same way.
Right. You would isolate.
Right.
Yeah.
Obviously, the difference is, and why it makes it so deadly to nursing homes, is we don't have a vaccine.
Right.
Okay? So that's the big deal.
Yeah.
And that's why you have seen all over the country, when it gets into a nursing home, they can't prevent it from transmitting.
Yeah.
Because no matter how great you are with your universal precautions, everybody, I mean, we're dealing with regular people who just, I mean, you could touch a doorknob
Right.
And you're supposed to hand sanitize, or you have a glove on and you think you're safe, so you go and touch something else, and you're not, because that glove
has already touched this other
Right.
thing. Yeah.
So it's impossible.
there's a lot
to
of
do.
human error.
Right.
And it's going to happen. There's no way around it.
But once there's a vaccine, it really, truly will be just like the flu. And I don't know if you agree with that, PJ, or not.
Oh yeah,
but
it's going to be cyclical, just like the flu. We're going to have a season for it. It's going to be added to our respiratory panel. We're going to test for it every year. Now, when somebody comes into the emergency room and you get the flu swab, you get a respiratory panel. It's just going to be a part of that respiratory panel. And so another thing, like how you were saying, because we have the flu vaccine, that really helps things. One of the reasons why this one was more dangerous is because we've never had this one around before. So, like, can you imagine, like, the first time the flu came around,
Right.
how many people that killed? You know what I mean?
Right.
Just because nobody has ever had the flu before. Nobody's ever had this one before, so we don't have any sort of immunity towards it.
And that's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say. Why I agree with the initial panic and the initial shut, because we didn't understand it. We didn't know at all anything about it, really. You
Right.
know what I mean? There wasn't enough studies yet. It just showed up.
Well, and then there was a lot of misconception about the flattening the curve term. So many people thought that flattening the curve meant talking about less people getting it, and it had nothing to do with that. It had to do with spacing out the time frame of the same amount of people getting it, just to not overwhelm the hospital.
Right.
So especially with us in a small area and a small hospital, if we would have had a huge influx all at once, we'd have been screwed and just in the same boat as like Italy was, where they were having to pick and choose who was going to live and who was going to die. So no matter what, the same amount of people are going to get it that we're going to get it.
Right.
There's no changing that. If you were going to get it, you're going to get it.
Yeah.
Unless you quarantine yourself forever. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like
Which is not feasible.
It's not. So it was never about cutting down the amount of people that were going to be infected. It was about spacing it out as much as possible to try to give
Not
the
overwhelm
hospital
hospitals.
time to prepare.
But then it
and
would
not
seem.
overwhelm them.
But then it would seem that they did push it on too long, because you had hospitals laying people off because they couldn't do their normal stuff that they did because they were preparing. You couldn't do.
Right.
You had to have a serious thing in order to get treated at the hospital or to get the surgery at the hospital. Like, if it wasn't serious, you couldn't. You had to reschedule your surgery.
Right.
I mean, one of the best examples of that, I had to get. So I go to Philly, as we chronicled and early, every month, and I get a lab work and scans and other stuff done. So of course, once this happened, it became telehealth, and I had to get things done local. So I decided that the 1 month I had to do it, I would go to UPMC, because that's where I originally started to get all this stuff done. And I thought, well, I'm already in the system. They already know all my labs and what I normally get done. So I go there, and I mean, we're talking UPMC Presby, right?
Yeah.
Normally unbelievably busy, crazy busy hospital.
Yeah.
It was a ghost town.
Nobody.
I mean, I am walking up and down hallways, going down elevator, literally by myself. I
Yeah.
thought I was in an episode of Walking Dead. I was like, at any point I'm going to walk out and there's going to be zombies there everywhere. What's going on here? I'm afraid.
I don't want to be here.
and we were no different. It was a crazy thing in the ER, because you even if we're not busy with really sick people, there's always the people that are there. There's almost two classifications of the people that come to the ER. There's the people that wait till they're half dead, and then there's the people that come in for a hangnail.
Yeah.
So a lot of the people that call an ambulance for the toe pain, the virus scared them away. So we were actually getting nothing but actual emergencies there for a while. So it was kind of crazy.
Makes total sense.
Yeah, it was kind of wild to go through that. I was actually luckily enough, because we were going through the same thing where we had such a low census that people were getting sent home all the time. I was on night turn for like 6 weeks in a row through the biggest part of it. So I was lucky to not have to lose many hours for it, which was nice.
Right.
And it's picked back up already.
I got to imagine.
People just want to get out of the house now. They'll come to the ER just for somebody to see.
just to be seen.
Oh yeah, for sure. you get people that I swear come there. So we have heated blankets. We have a blanket warmer at the ER. I swear to God, some people come there just for a heated blanket. A heated blanket and a turkey sandwich.
I like the turkey sandwich and the heated blanket.
There's multiple people that love that ER turkey sandwich.
I would imagine they do. And they're probably like, this is my meal of the day.
Oh man, you get a milligram of Dilaudid in a turkey sandwich, and you are good to go.
I'm gonna go get high and get a turkey sandwich. I'm going to the ER.
And you know what's funny too is, so a lot of times you think about some of those people wanting to come in just because it's cold, like some homeless population, but it goes the other way too. You get in the really hot months, and you're like, oh, it's a nice day. Why would anybody come in here? Well, we have air conditioning in the ER.
Good point. Very good point. Come in, cool down, and get a turkey sandwich.
Yeah, you get some AC and a turkey sandwich, and you're good for 3-4 hours at least.
That's good stuff.
Oh man,
I love it. So what did you think of the Blantons versus what you've already tried?
So Blanton's was definitely my favorite of the three that we had today.
Okay.
Which I guess should speak for itself.
Right.
Blanton's is at the top of the shelf.
I mean, it's always going to be mine. If I can be pulled off the Blanton's mountain, I'll be shocked. I'm not saying I can't.
Right, but I would have to agree. I'd be shocked. I'll be honest with you. I'm interested to see what's going to happen with Widow Jane once they have their own 10-year, because their blend is incredible.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Because they don't have their own yet, right?
So they don't, and I believe it's coming very, very soon. I think they're at 9 or maybe at the 10th year now. Mm-hmm. And when I did research on that before we did that podcast, I was stunned by it. I was stunned.
Because it's phenomenal. We went into that tasting. McKenna is one of my top, and McKenna was also in that tasting with Widow Jane. And when we went into the tasting before we started, I was like, well, I already know McKenna's going to win this tasting.
So are you saying that Widow Jane is like a newer distillery that is just now hitting their 10-year mark of distilling?
Yes. So they've been out for a while, but they've started bottling 10-year bourbon, but they purchased those barrels from Kentucky, Indiana, and Tennessee, and then blended it and bottled it as 10-year bourbon.
They're a New York distillery,
but they're in New York. So they build it, but at the same time they wanted to build the name, so they decided they're going to buy these really high-end bourbons, and then bottle it, and then at the same time start making their own. Yeah. But they won't bottle their own because they have this feeling of, well, not feeling of, it's just their rule is they're like, we're not bottling anything less than 10 years.
Yeah. So I'm really excited to try their actual bourbon itself, because they've done an amazing job with their blending. I mean, it's phenomenal.
So they buy somebody else's bourbon,
right,
and they just tweak it a little bit.
Yep.
And slap their label on it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. And now they're approaching the 10-year mark of being in business, where they will have one of their own 10-year aged bourbons
at their own distillery, and it may still, and I think this is probably going to be the case. It's still going to be blended, but I don't know that for sure.
But if it is, it's going to be blended of their own at this point,
right?
You would think.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited to try it because, like I said, that McKenna is one of my favorites. And in that tasting, I thought I knew it was going to win, and it had to be 1A, 1B, Widow Jane and McKenna, because it was that fucking good.
So here's a question for you. So when you're taking a 10-year aged bourbon and blending it with something else, is there any stipulations as to what you have to blend it with to still call it a 10-year?
Well, it probably has to at least be a majority of 10-year bourbon.
Yeah.
I would assume.
So like it has to be a certain percentage.
I don't know the
10-year.
answer to that, to be honest.
The only way I can answer that I think is the correct answer, although I'm not sure. Double Rye by
High West.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So High West blends all
Which
of
we
their.
now have at Garden Grill.
Yeah, thank God. So they blend like a 3-year or a 4 or 5-year rye with a 10-year rye or a 7-year rye, but they don't put an age on it. And I believe that that's the rule, although I don't know for sure.
So
and I don't want to start spouting out it's 86 proof.
Yeah, well, yeah,
It can only be 86 proof.
I would think that would kind of take away. You know what I mean? Like if you have a 10-year and then you start adding something that is less than 10 years, you can't really call that a 10-year bourbon. You know what I mean?
Completely agree.
So what I'm assuming that Widow Jane is actually doing is getting multiple 10-year bourbons from different places and blending those.
Right.
That's what I would assume they're doing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And what they also could be doing is getting 4 or 5-year-old bourbons and then aging them themselves at their own distillery for another.
Which they for sure could be doing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it's a lot of different.
I didn't think about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Because they're when they buy it, they're buying the barrels, so that they could be maybe adding something to the barrel.
And I feel like it's more probably that way, where they're buying it at whatever year until it's a official Kentucky bourbon, and then taking it to their property and aging it for however many years to make it 10.
Now, my other question is when you buy a however many year bourbon from somebody else and blend it with whatever you got, do they usually say what the other bourbon is on there that they've blended it with?
They do not.
Really?
Yeah, they do not. They are very hush-hush about it. It's just my experience of it. Dave, I don't know if you know different, but I think they do not want people to know
their recipe.
Right.
Yeah. I think the only one that is letting you know exactly what they're doing when they tweak it. Like, because I've had multiple wine tweaked bourbons now, but the only one that's letting you know exactly what wine they're using is Jefferson. Jefferson's the only one letting you know that. They're letting you know we're using the Groth cab, we're using the Pritchard cab, we're using the Chateau Pichon Baron. Which, by the way, before you leave, we're gonna have to end this semi soon because I got another podcast coming in. But before you leave, even if we don't do it on air, I want you to try that Pichon Baron again.
Okay.
Just because what I told you about I think I'm picking up Chardonnay in there.
I heard that.
Yeah.
And you know what I thought right away? He's out of his fucking mind.
I will say, I was already pretty drunk.
So I understand the secretiveness, wanting to keep your particular blend, so that nobody, so they can't necessarily recreate it completely and, keep it your own. But how do you know that they're actually giving you this 10-year, they could be mixing it with fucking bathwater for all you know.
So, all right, here we go.
Yeah.
So there actually used to be a problem with that, and now I'm pretty sure it would be exposed pretty quickly. So there's a thing in bourbon called bottled in bond, all right, and that's where it actually gets stored at a government facility. And the reason that actually got started, Colonel,
trust the government.
Oh, here we go.
That's a good point. It's a very good point.
So Colonel E.H. Taylor back in the day, that's the E.H. Taylor bourbon that's sitting up on top there. So he's the one that started bottled in bond, and literally why it happened was because after Prohibition, people wanted to be able to give people bourbon again, and they didn't want to have to wait for the aging process. So they were.
How many years is it that it has to be for a bourbon?
Only
3?
Only
No,
2.
2 years.
Okay.
So they didn't want to wait for that. So they were doing anything they could to get that color, that taste. I mean, they were literally putting dip spit in it. They were putting sometimes arsenic, from what I understand, in it.
Yum.
And some people were getting really sick. Some people did die. And so
I don't know, those are my 2 favorite ingredients in a bourbon.
Yeah. So bourbon
Dip,
was
spit, and arsenic. I mean, I think we could market that.
yeah. That would be a true bastard bourbon. So Colonel E.H. Taylor bourbon was getting a really bad day. People didn't want to drink bourbon because it was scary. So Colonel E.H. Taylor was like, let's link up.
Reasonably so.
Yes. Let's link up with the government and make it so that they watch our barrels so that they know we're not doing this crazy shit.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
So they know we're not doing this crazy shit to them, and that's how Bottle and Bond came about. And now they don't do it for all bourbon now, but they do it for some bourbons. And there's certain classification. It has to be a glass bottle, has to be at least 100 proof, and it has to be stored in a government facility. And it's actually the first thing to have government overwatch like that. Like you've heard of the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, that started. Bourbon was doing that before any of that. It started with bourbon.
Interesting.
Yeah. Bourbon is so uniquely American and has such an American history. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like, you really should watch the documentary. It's really fucking cool.
I would suggest, PJ, when you're going to do it, go Hulu, go with Neat first. I think Neat's probably the best of the three.
Yeah, I love that one.
Bourbon Tucky is really good also. I think Bourbon Tucky is the one on Amazon.
Okay.
And the other one on, might be also on Hulu, is Straight Up. But they're all good. But one of the three start, like, really getting, like, waxing poetic about 86. Pam, do you remember this? The 86 proof?
Yeah.
All right.
Again,
I just want someone else to please validate.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch. I'm gonna have to watch those other ones so I know. But you're saying, didn't you say that that's how 86 came into restaurants?
Yes.
Even?
Yes.
Yeah. So you worked in restaurants. You know, when they say 86, it means you're out of it. Like
Right.
86, the fillet.
That off the menu. Yeah.
And it was, apparently
That's where it came from.
was again bourbon.
Bourbon. I think
bourbon.
Right. Bourbon.
The 6 degrees of bourbon.
We have a problem. I was actually, when I was at PJ's house last night, I feel like all I say anymore is bourbon. I'm just like, bourbon.
There's a small lull in the conversation. Bourbon? Oh, yeah, bourbon. I know about bourbon. Let me tell you the story of bourbon.
You know, I'm golfing with guys today. They, know very little about the podcast. I'm explaining it to them. And they're like, I mean, is this all you're going to talk about? Is bourbon in the podcast? I'm like, no.
Yeah.
But I'm
yes.
really excited about it.
Yeah. And here's the thing. You can either listen to just the tasting and then stop, or you can continue on and listen to what else we talk about in our drunken state.
Well, we had a little mini tasting here.
Yeah,
I
we
would
did.
say.
We can't help ourselves.
Boone County, 1920, and Blanton's.
Well, there was a little bit of a branch there, anyways. We were already starting it off as a
tasting.
as a tasting of
Of
beer.
sorts,
So there was a reasonable leap there.
Right.
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, we didn't force it. It was like, all right, we're going to drink bourbon now.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, I don't know when we'll be able to get PJ scheduled for a Bastards of Bourbon. So I was like, you know what? I want him to try some of these bourbons now because I love bourbon and I want to share it with my brother.
Yeah.
And hey, I don't think you can fault me for that.
No. No one's faulting you for that.
But sadly, we are going to have to wrap this up because I got MMA fools coming in here at 9.
Damn it, I had a top 5 ready to go.
Did
No,
you?
I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Yeah, I did.
I was like, what was it?
Everybody got so
intrigued.
intrigued. But do you guys got anything to add? PJ? Meh. Okay. Steve?
Nothing to add. Just happy to be here. Thank you, PJ, for inviting me along.
Oh.
Really enjoyed it.
Actually, I did want to ask a random question. Were you at Trinity a couple days ago?
I was there about a week ago. Yeah.
I was taking a patient to the floor, and I go by the elevator, and I see somebody walking down the hall, and I'm like, I think that's Steve. And I wanted to raise my hand and be like, hey, Steve. I was like, he doesn't know you. That will be weird.
Like, who's that guy?
Who's that guy screaming my name?
So as I've been doing telehealth, I've been going to Trinity to get my blood work. So I'm sure. I mean,
It probably was.
Yeah.
It was a bald guy that looked like you. It's like, I think that's Steve.
And listen, PJ was so excited that because just in case you're wondering, PJ does listen to the podcast normally, and he was excited about it because he enjoys when Steve is on.
Well, if you would have yelled out bourbon,
He would have immediately turned around.
I mean, like,
Oh, what? Who said bourbon?
Is Is there bourbon in this hospital?
Hold on, I think I have some.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, didn't you have a genius idea for the retirement homes?
Oh yeah. So we're gonna do a full blown bar. Like, I mean, when I say bar, I'm talking like a bar like what you have at Garden Grill, but a little bigger. Mm-hmm. And we're going to allow people to come up and drink as they want.
Yeah.
So it's not anything any place is doing. I believe it's a cutting edge idea, but I also believe it's what this age range wants.
Yes, I completely agree.
And I mean the biggest thing is
I'll be moving in as
Yeah.
soon as you get it done.
so
That age group is already telling the same stories over and over again already. Why not add some alcohol in?
Right,
It's
right.
The same thing.
So I mean, I'm sorry, but I think if someone says they were like, okay, you know, you're at a hospital, right?
Yeah.
And you're giving choices to go to a nursing home.
Yeah.
And someone says, well, you can go here, 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 and this place has a 20-person bar that serves every alcohol you could possibly want.
Yeah.
I'll go there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Here's A, B, C, or D. D.
D. D immediately. But actually, we should make it B for bourbon.
Yeah.
And I will not only be retiring once he starts that, I'll be moving in, and I'll also be the bartender.
Well, and honestly, I think that's a phenomenal idea that you could even branch off into other avenues too. Just because you're even saying like, you know, that's the kind of thing that group, that era, you know, that was something that they, you know, a part of their past.
Right.
I'm sure there's other branches and other avenues that you could add to
Sure.
nursing homes to make it one more like a community. Because I mean, what's a community without a bar?
Yeah. Agreed.
and other things like that to make it more than just a nursing home. You know what I mean?
Right.
Other than the place that I live.
Right. I mean, make it more like a community, just
Yeah.
like you're saying. And I'm stunned that no one else has actually came up with that idea. Now, there's plenty of places that have cafes or, you know, a coffee shop.
Yeah.
And I get it. And that's all smart because they want that too. But they really want a bar.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah. Who the fuck doesn't?
Right.
Yeah, especially the guys that, like you said, are hitting that area now. Like they grew up in bars.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
oh my
come
God.
on. Like, what?
It's going to be
This is-
like just going
You know what
back
this is?
up.
This is prohibition for old people, and Steve will not stand for it.
I won't.
All right. Well, I think that's a great thing to end on. We love you guys. This is the Gathering of Fools. We're out.
Bye-bye.
That is crazy. I wonder, is there any kind of stipulation saying that like they're
So,
not allowed to have alcohol there or
As
anything
long
like
as
that?
we get a doctor's order, but here's where it gets crazy. So let's say we have a doctor.